Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto has amaterasu in RWBY. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by amaijin and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Darkness. That was all Naruto Uzumaki saw as he felt himself falling in between the dimensions. He had no idea what he was doing, nor could he tell where he was. All he knew was that he was alive, and his head was spinning. How long had he been here? What exactly was he doing here? Was he dead? Those were the various questions unanswered within his head. Then it all came back to him. The various memories assaulted his brain like a freight train. The war was at a crux. They had managed to get some form of respite thanks to the help of the 4 revived Hokages, and had managed to defeat and reform Obito. The rwby pushed for the moment. But as the war seemed to finally be over, Madara was revived. Obito, using whatever control he still had left over his body, implanted the chakra of the missing tailed beast into Naruto, and opted to send him away where Madara could not hope to reach. They bid farewell to the hero that had brought everyone together. They bid farewell to the one who had endured like a true shinobi. They bid farewell to the child of prophecy. They bid farewell to the one that had touched their lives and changed it for the better. They bid farewell to Naruto Uzumaki forever. As Naruto prepared to slam the Udama Rasengan into the portal to destabilize it and send himself on a journey through dimensions, he got one last look at all the people he was leaving behind. His sensei, his teammates, his friends, all of them would be sorely missed, but as was usual for him, he would once again sacrifice everything to ensure that all his precious people has a future, derailing Madara's plans for good even if it meant saying goodbye to them forever. He looked on with a sad smile as the darkness overtook him. Darkness was all Naruto Uzumaki knew. He was surrounded by it. No way out, nowhere left to go. And just as suddenly as the darkness engulfed him, a bright calming light engulfed the room and he found himself standing upon the waters of a place oddly similar to his mindscape, yet it lacked any of the defining features such as the fact that Kurama was gone. Instead there was a man floating in the middle of the area, 10 black spheres orbiting below him. A staff in hand. The kimono he wore had 9 magatama on it, and a pattern oddly reminiscent of the Rinnegan. The man turned around and much to Naruto's shock, his eyes bore the divine Rinnegan. Why do you have the Rinnegan? Naruto asked in shock. I am the sage that transcends all things. I am Hagoromo. You know me as the sage of 6 paths. Hagoromo said. The sage of the 6 paths? You mean the same one who Pervy Sage and Nagato spoke of? You are the founder of ninjutsu. Naruto said in awe. No, I did not create ninjutsu. I founded Ninshu. Ninshu was intended to bring people together. You humans distorted it into the weapon of war, massacre and mass murder called ninjutsu. Instead of the bijou being used to ensure the balance of power, they are used as weapons and locked away. Hagoromo said angrily. Alright, relax. I understand that the bijou were all mistreated, and we humans seem to know nothing but how to kill each other. But what exactly are we doing here? And what is here exactly? Naruto said. We are in your mindscape and you called me here with your selfless spirit, and wished to see your friends safe and survive the war by sacrificing yourself. Truly a selfless person. You truly are my descendant. Hagoromo said. Wait, what do you mean descendant? Naruto said. Allow me to tell you a story. My mother Kagaya came from a faraway place. She journeyed in search of the chakra fruit. The same one that manifested during the war. By consuming the fruit, she gained the power of chakra and brought peace using her power. She was hailed as a goddess at first, however, as you know, power corrupts, and so she eventually subjugated everyone, becoming revered and feared as both a goddess and a demon. In time, she gave birth to 2 sons, myself and my younger brother Hamura. Hagoromo said, retelling the history of chakra. The 2 of us battled the rwby in order to atone for our mother's sins. The rwby went on a rampage in order to try and reclaim its power, but in the end we were able to defeat it and seal it away into the moon. We prevented the same thing that was about to happen in your world. The infinite Tsukuyomi does not only trap a person inside an unbreakable genjutsu, but rather it links them to the divine tree, keeping them alive as feed for the caster, granting the caster unimaginable power. Mother possessed the powers of both the Sharingan and the Byakugan. Hagoromo continued. Wow, all mothers are really scary, huh? Naruto commented. Indeed. But we are getting sidetracked. In time, I would have 2 sons. The elder one named Indra and the younger one named Azura. Indra inherited my strong genes and my chakra while Azura did not. I trained the 2 of them, but yet Indra showed great promise and was hailed as a prodigy. Azura on the other was a dunce. Hagoromo said as images of 2 of his sons was shown. Even when your dad is the sage of 6 paths, I can sort of relate to that, I guess. Naruto commented with a sigh. You should be able to understand, Naruto, that one's parentage does not guarantee what they will become. Anyway, Indra possessed strong chakra and visual prowess, and relied solely on his power, which he believed to be special to do things. Azura on the other hand relied on the power of others together with his own hard work in order to accomplish the same things as his brother. Very similar to you and how you can gain aid from anyone. In the end, Azura was able to gain his own power of the body. But even with his great power, he never forgot those bonds he forged. Hagoromo said with a sad smile. Through Azura's life, I glimpsed a new possible power through cooperation. I accepted his beliefs that peace is achieved through love, understanding and cooperation, and so I partitioned the power of the rwby that I had into the 9 bijou, giving each a name. I named him my successor as the guardian of Nishu, but it was not to be. Instead of cooperating, the older brother Indra fought with Azura. Even though their bodies were destroyed, their chakra was not, and so it kept entering the reincarnation cycle, clinging to people through the generations. Hagoromo said, Wow, that is kind of scary. So who currently hold their chakra? Naruto asked. The previous incarnates were Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha. Hashirama was Azura and Madara was Indra. Their chakra is currently held by you, Naruto. I can see it clearly. Both Azura and Indra's chakra clings tightly to you. Hagoromo remarked. Wait, how is that possible? I don't have the Sharingan, nor am I an Uchiha. Naruto said. Yes, for some odd reason your Sharingan never manifested itself, but you do have Uchiha blood. But due to the circumstances of your birth and the way you grew up, you inherited Azura's will and share his beliefs, yet you possess Indra's latent prowess as evidenced by how you grew so quickly with the aid of others and your own effort. Hagoromo said. So what has that got to do with anything? Naruto asked, not finding any relation between the revelation and his current situation. As you know, Madara tampered with things and infused his body with Hashirama's DNA. This fused Azura's chakra with Indra's, thus awakening my chakra and activating the Rinnegan within him. You are the first transmigrant to naturally have both chakras, meaning that my chakra is naturally occurring within you. Madara wanted to gain power to cast the infinite Tsukuyomi, which would have made him similar to Mother. But you and all the people you brought together through your life have managed to derail that plan. It might be that the shinobi world only accepts Mother and Indra's way and is doomed to fail from the start. Hagoromo said. No, it isn't. The world is written by those who live in it. If my one life could change so much, then hopefully those I have touched can continue to touch others. But thank you, old man sage, for continuing to believe in us and for continuing to watch over the shinobi world. Naruto said. Truly you do not know how to hate Naruto Uzumaki. You think for yourself above all others, sacrificing yourself so that the shinobi world will have a future, giving it a chance at true peace. Hopefully your life there will not have been wasted. Anyway, I came here to tell you about the world you are heading to. Hagoromo said. The world where the Kamui took me, right? What would another dimension have to do with you? Naruto asked. This world you are going to is called Remnant. It is very similar to the shinobi world you once came from. They possess a more basic form of chakra called aura and bloodline limits called semblances. This world is much more peaceful than the shinobi world and has powerful individuals called huntsmen who are like the shinobi from our world. However, I have a task for you in this world, Naruto. As a favor that only you can do as my descendant and the first person to have my chakra naturally occurring. Hagoromo said. Is there a threat looming in this world? Is there a war brewing? Naruto asked. No, there is a divide between the races. On Remnant, there exists the humans and the faunus, humans with animal features. They are discriminated against just like what the Jinchuriki went through, although not as bad and not as isolated. In Remnant there exists 4 kingdoms. I would like you to try and bring peace to this world and unite the 2 races. I would also like you to spread the teachings of Nishu to them, teach them to harness their aura to understand one another. Hagoromo said. I will try my best, old man sage. I will live my life in this new world just as I once did in the shinobi world. Naruto said with conviction. Very well then. That is all I can ask of you. Hopefully your life will have as profound an effect here as it did in the shinobi world. It is time, Hagoromo said as the tailed beasts rose up out of the water. Shikaku, Matatabi, Isabu, Son Goku, Koko, Saiken, Chome, Gyuki, Kurama. It is time for the child of prophecy to arise, the one who would befriend the 9 and frolic amongst them. It is time for you, Naruto Uzumaki, to gain your true power and take your place as my successor and bring peace to a new world. Now grab my staff with both of your hands and I will confer everything onto you. Hagoromo said. Naruto walked up to the sage and his hands reached out to grasp the sage's staff. He immediately felt power coursing through him, power that felt like it belonged to him, and he touched before but could never consciously access. He felt the sage's knowledge flow through him, the knowledge of not only the shinobi world but also his own. He felt his link with the bijou grow stronger, and at the same time felt an odd tingle to his eyes. He looked down, and was surprised to see that his eyes had changed. His eyes now bore the ripple pattern of the divine Rinnegan, but his was not the regular pattern like the sage's, Madara's or Nagato's. Instead, his had 6 tomos in each eye spread between the 2 innermost ring of each eye. Hey old man sage, what is up with my eyes? Naruto asked. Your eyes are unique in that you possess both the powers of the Sharingan and the Rinnegan. Your eye is actually a Sharingan, but I evolved it into a Rinnegan for you so you have some additional powers. Now it is time for me to go. Best of luck, Naruto Uzumaki. Never fear, for you shall never be alone. The bijou will always be around for you and you will always have your most powerful ability, the ability to make friends with anyone, Hagoromo said before he faded. The mindscape world went white and Naruto felt his world spinning around as everything took root in his physical body. He noticed that there was finally light at the end of all the darkness and emerged through it, finding himself in a snowy forest. He took stock of himself. His eyes were now the Rinnegan, and he found that he could turn it off at will. Making a mental note to practice his new eye powers, he looked at his hands and saw that his left hand had the mark of the moon, and the right had the mark of the sun. His clothes were in tatters. Checking his belongings, he saw that his main storage scroll was sealed away in his arm and was still intact. Getting up and dusting himself off, he took note of his current position. Based on the sage's knowledge, he should be in a forest near a place called Patch. He decided to head off in a random direction where he could sense some people only to realize that a fight was going on quite near to his current position. His curiosity piqued. Naruto decided to see the type of conflicts that plague this world called Remnant. He tree-hopped to the location of the battle and was surprised to find a girl in a white hood fighting monsters. These monsters were black with red eyes and resembled wolves. Recalling the information that the sage left him, Naruto recognized them as Beowulfs. Summer Rose was not having a good day. She had finally been accepted to Beacon Academy after completing her time at Signal. She was finally on the way to achieving her dream of becoming a huntsman just like her parents once were. She had come to the mountainside memorial graveyard to pay respects to her parents, which was normal for her. Only normally, she had decided to visit alone without informing anyone or taking anyone with her. She was not expecting to encounter Grim here. While she was a pretty decent huntsman in training, there was still a lot of Grim here to deal with, and she was muttering curses as she jumped away from a swipe by one of the Beowulfs. Naruto watched with interest as the hooded girl weaved in between the horde of Grim, and thinned out their numbers gradually. He had to admit she was fast, and thought that her semblance was probably something like the swift release. Skill-wise, the girl was probably around Chunin level, which was pretty decent. Naruto could tell that she needed help soon as she was starting to get exhausted. He watched as she was sent flying into a tree by one of the Beowulfs, struggling to get up as she felt both pain and exhaustion creep in, forcing herself to stand with the help of her weapon. Deciding that it was best to intervene now, Naruto unsealed Sasuke's Chikuto, a final gift from someone he considered a brother in all but blood. He leapt from the trees, wind chakra flowing through the blade as he beheaded one of the Beowulfs that was about to pounce that girl. "You alright there, miss?" Naruto asked as he ducked another strike before bisecting the creature. Deciding that he couldn't be bothered to deal with all these monsters, he decided to test out his Rinnegan/Sharingan hybrid. Amaterasu, Naruto thought as he focused his vision on the monsters, causing them to erupt into a pillar of black flames. He focused once more and erased the black flames before turning to the girl. "Who are you? And what was that?" Summer asked as she felt herself slipping into unconsciousness from exhaustion. "Relax. I am not an enemy. Sleep for now so that you can regain your strength," Naruto said as he caught the unconscious girl in his arms. He laid against a tree and placed the girl's head on his lap to allow her to rest. As he did so, he took note of her beautiful silver eyes and angelic face, feeling his cheeks heat up a little. "Wow, brat, barely an hour in this new world and you are already looking for a mate. I have to say though, much better than that pink-haired banshee that you used to pursue and also much less timid than that hinata girl," Kurama said from within his mind. "Shut up, you stupid fox. Anyway, I need some help. I want to train my Rinnegan powers as well as the powers the sage left me. Think you guys can help?" Naruto thought, directing this to all the Bija. "We can help you with what we are good at, and also give you some tips with the Rinnegan, however we have limited experience with it since the old man barely used his powers after creating us," Kurama responded. "Alright then. I'll come in for some training," Naruto thought as he closed his eyes and entered his mindscape to train with the Bija. He spent a great deal of time inside, and what amounted to days in the mindscape translated into minutes outside. He figured some of the powers of the Rinnegan, and managed to figure out how to use the 6 pads techniques to at least a basic level. He also spent some time learning the powers of his Sharingan. He discovered that he had Amaterasu in his right eye and Kamui in his left. He practiced a little with his Susanoo up until the point where he could manifest the armored upper body. He was going to practice his elemental ninjutsu, but the girl laying in his lap was stirring and so he had to cut his training short. The Biju informed him that for now he could just draw on their individual chakra to use elemental releases until he started training to use his own, an offer which he graciously accepted but would not abuse. Summer Rose found herself stirring from the earlier battle. She found herself laying comfortably in the lap of the person who had saved her. Looking up at the face of her savior, Summer couldn't help but blush as she got a good look at him. His blonde looks and blue eyes combined with his whisker marks gave him a very exotic appeal. Quickly willing away such thoughts, she sat up and faced him, her hand unconsciously reaching for her sword. "Relax. If I wanted to kill you I would have done so while you were unconscious. Anyway, my name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze," Naruto said while extending a hand for a handshake, thankful that the sage had taught him how to speak and read the native language here. "I'm Summer Rose. Are you a faunus? And where did you learn to fight like that? And what were those black flames you used?" Summer asked as she took his hand and shook it. Immediately Summer let go and clutched her head as she felt herself being assaulted by memories and visions of places and events she had never seen or experienced before. A beautiful red-haired woman giving birth to a child with blonde hair. A masked man summoning a giant fox with 9 tails to attack the village. the boy's parents sacrificing themselves to seal the beast into the child being an outcast in his village, the child's team being formed, a man with long dark hair, gray skin and sickly yellow eyes grinning evilly as he bit into the neck of the boy's friend with sharp fangs like a snake, the boy fighting against a black-haired boy with red eyes with 3 tomos and lightning crackling in his hand, 11 figures garbed in black cloaks decorated with red clouds as the sun rose behind them, 9 beasts of power being sealed into a giant statue that changed into a gigantic monster with 10 tails and a giant single evil eye glaring down at the world, the boy meeting all 9-tailed beasts and learning their names, the boy leaving his world forever for the sake of stopping the plans of a madman, the boy's meeting with a legendary figure from his world, the boy's arrival and purpose in this world. Summer recovered and shook her head as she realized that she had just viewed the life of the person that had rescued her, her heart going out to him as she sympathized with the horrid life that he had to live, while at the same time she marveled at his tenacity and will to never give up, and also his ability to overcome hatred. Are you alright there, Summer? Kurama, what happened? Naruto said. Apparently Hagoromo made it such that those with the correct characteristics, and will not bring you harm, will learn your true story by shaking hands with you and coming into contact with the sun mark. He probably put it in so that it would be easier for you to identify those you could consider your close allies and friends, Kurama said, although he wasn't certain of this. Thanks, Kurama. And thanks Hagoromo for all your help. You've done so much for me already. Naruto thought to himself, oh you poor boy. To have to endure such things. Summer said as she embraced her savior. Naruto was a little shocked by the action. It's okay, Summer. That life is in the past. Right now I need to move forward. If I kept being depressed about what happened in the past, then I would never become who I am today. Naruto said as Summer finally let go of him. Well, since you are new here, why don't you follow me back to my place first? I don't have any friends and my house isn't too far away. You can use one of the spare rooms. We could go out to Vale to get you some clothes. Summer said as she got up and extended a hand for Naruto to take. Naruto gladly accepted and got up. Thanks for this, Summer. I guess this means that we are both each other's first friends. Naruto said with a warm smile that made Summer's heart flutter. Yeah, I guess it does. Summer said as she led the way. The pair walking off into the distance. Time skip a few months. Summer was excitedly gesturing to the outside world as the ship flew past various landmarks of her home on the way to Beacon Academy, the blonde man next to her chuckling a little bit at how childish she was acting. But who was he to comment, given that just a year ago he would probably be acting the same way? It had been a few months since Naruto had first arrived in Remnant. In that time, he had gotten to know the place better, namely Patch where Summer lived and the nearby city of Vale, which was the capital city of the kingdom with the same name. He got around and explored the sights, adapting to current society and learning to operate like a huntsman and not a shinobi, although that did not mean that he forgot his shinobi lineage, but rather he was very careful not to display some of the characteristics of a shinobi so openly. His Konoha headband and jumpsuit was stored away safely as he had changed his outfit in favor of something that blended better with this world. His outfit now consisted of a long-sleeved black sweatshirt that stopped at his forearms with black pants. He wore open-toed shinobi boots. He had black gloves with metal plates on them to hide the sage markings and wore a face mask to cover his whisker marks, since that was more convenient than having to explain that he was not a faunus. He also wore a orange haori with black flames at the bottom. He had a kunai pouch strapped to his leg and a multipurpose pouch around his waist. His weapon of choice, a large sword, was strapped to his back. This weapon was built by himself using the creation of all things power of the Rinnegan. He had decided to craft himself a weapon to fit his needs as a huntsman, since he had passed the Beacon entrance exam to come to the academy together with Summer, much to her joy. He dubbed the weapon the Fusion Sword. It was a large blade that could be split into 6 individual smaller blades and could fire off jutsu from the tip and make it look as though he had used dust. This allowed him to use ninjutsu while still blending in. 1. He had quite a good bit of money saved up thanks to him republishing the books which had been left behind by Jiraiya. Life was pretty good for him. He wasn't hated or discriminated against, with the exception for being labeled as a faunus, although that was only a few incidences. He trained a lot with Summer, helping the girl improve while also learning skills from her, so a mutual benefit for the both of them. He had made leaps and bounds in ninjutsu and his dojutsu, and had even started learning how to use the Haraishin that his father had left for him before he departed the shinobi world. Life was good, and really the only thing really needing work in Remnant was the relations between the 4 kingdoms, the humans and faunus ties, and the threat of the Grimm. This world was nothing like the shinobi world. There was little grayness. The Grimm were creatures of darkness, and the huntsmen were the light that protected everyone. Hey Naruto! Summer shouted, jolting Naruto out of his thoughts. You wanted something, Summer? Naruto said. I have been trying to get your attention for the past minute. You were zoning out. Summer said while putting her hands on her hips and pouting cutely. Sorry about that. Just thinking a little bit. Naruto said while scratching the back of his head. You were thinking about them again, right? The people you left behind. Summer said as she placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. A little bit, yeah, but mostly about my time here. I've moved on, Summer. Those people were my past. My future is here in Remnant. There is no reason to dwell and desire something which cannot be attained. It would just weigh us down. Naruto said. Anyway, enough with that. We should enjoy the view. Summer said as she pulled Naruto to the window. Look. You can see all of Vale from up here. You can even see Signal Academy. Summer pointed out excitedly. You are right, Summer. This is most certainly an excellent view. Naruto said. Before long, the ship had landed safely at Beacon Academy, and the students were asked to disembark. Naruto and Summer walked together towards the auditorium, all the while taking in the scenery of the school. They also noticed some of the people who they might be working with during the year. Deciding that they had enough of sightseeing, they made their way to the auditorium where they listened to the welcoming address by the current headmaster of Beacon Academy. Welcome to Beacon Academy. You all possess great potential to become huntsmen, and here at this school, you will learn to hone that potential and nurture it as you grow from huntsmen in training into full-fledged huntsmen. You are all the next generation of huntsmen that will protect Remnant from threats. You are the next generation that will continue the peace that our world currently enjoys. Now then, you will gather here tonight. This ballroom will be your sleeping quarters for the night before you are all assigned dorm rooms based on your teams after initiation. Tomorrow. Dismissed. The man said. That night, Summer was excitedly chatting away about how excited she was to finally start Beacon Academy. She talked about how she hoped to be in the same team with Naruto, and really wanted to make more friends. Naruto just listened attentively, enjoying the fact that he could make friends and live without being judged. As the two friends went to sleep, thoughts of the exciting future ahead of them kept swimming around in their minds. All they knew was that life in the foreseeable future was not going to be boring. Naruto was getting himself ready in the lockers for the initiation that was about to take place soon. He adjusted his gloves, checking his pouches to make sure that they were stocked with all the supplies he would and might need. Even a few Hiraishin kunai for good measure, although he would probably not be using it so as to avoid getting too much attention, but better to be safe than sorry. He held his fusion sword in his hand, swinging it to get used to the familiar feel of the weapon. Once satisfied, he strapped it to his back using chakra to keep it held in place using a special chakra-conducting holster that wouldn't require him to focus on keeping it held in place. Another interesting fact that he had learnt while training was that despite gaining greater chakra reserves than before, he now had perfect control thanks to the Rinnegan. Next to Naruto, Summer was getting herself ready for initiation as well. She had her now twin sword strapped to her side and was checking to make sure that everything was in place. After adjusting her white cloak one last time, she turned to Naruto and gave him a warm smile before they walked off together towards the cliff where the first years were supposed to proceed to for initiation. They had agreed to be partnered up. This year, the school had decided to allow them to choose who they wanted as partners before the pairs would be grouped together after initiation. Making their way to the cliff, they sized up the other huntsmen in training. Taking particular notice of a black-haired man that used a large scythe. Crow was his name, if Naruto recalled correctly having heard it in passing. All the time for thought was interrupted as the pairs were launched into the Emerald Forest in order to complete the initiation ceremony. The initiation was a simple one. Enter the Emerald Forest that surrounded the academy, head to the forest ruins at the end of the path, retrieve a relic and then return back to the cliff to be evaluated. No one said anything about being launched into the forest. No one said anything about having to figure out some way to land without aid. And although the teachers mentioned that they would encounter opposition within the forest, they didn't mention that they might run into Grim. And they surely didn't mention that they could encounter some of the rarer Grim creatures. And that is where we find ourselves now. One Naruto Uzumaki covered in slime, skulking back towards the academy after he and Summer had managed to find the ruin and took an artifact with them. Summer was keeping some distance from Naruto, who was still grumbling and muttering curses about what happened to him earlier. An Ursa that tried to pounce on him becoming a victim of his aggression as it was cleanly bisected in two. You alright there, Naruto? Summer asked. I'm fine, Summer. I just want to get back to the academy and get this whatever this gunk is off me. Naruto said. Naruto, for all his luck, had somehow gotten himself swallowed up by a king taijutsu which they encountered in the forest. This not being the first time he had been swallowed by a snake, reminding him of the forest of death all over again. Still, it was pretty cool how you ripped the snake apart. You were like swallowed by it, and then I was all worried, and then the next moment you busted out all cool like with your sword ripping a nice big hole in the snake. Summer gushed. Yeah, it was cool. But very, very gross. Come on, let's get going. I'm interested to know who we get on our team. Naruto said as they made good time back to the academy. Once they had managed to trek back to the cliff, they handed the collected relic to the professor on duty and headed off to get some rest before the team announcements, which was still a good few hours away. Naruto of course made sure to clean the gunk off before relaxing with Summer, but even after spending a good 30 minutes getting clean, he could swear that he still felt the slime and gunk from the snake's innards. They gathered back in the ballroom for team announcements, and watched as various names flashed on the screen behind the headmaster, as the teams were being formed. Eventually, the screen displayed their names together with two others, Crow Bronwyn and Taiyang Xiaolong. Summer rose, Naruto Uzumaki, Crow Bronwyn, Taiyang Xiaolong. From this day forth, the four of you shall be working together as Team Blur. Led by Crow Bronwyn, the headmaster said. The four teens looked at each other before introducing themselves. Taeyang was a fairly tall person for his age with blonde hair not unlike Naruto. He wore an outfit oddly reminiscent of a biker, with leather and lots of it. He had a pair of gauntlets, and also a large axe strapped to his back. My name is Summer Rose. I look forward to getting to know all of you and working with you through these 4 years here at Beacon Academy. Summer said cheerfully. Naruto Uzumaki. Pleased to meet you. Hope we can get along. Naruto said while giving a lazy wave. I like the two of you. I think we will get along just fine. Name's Taeyang. Taeyang Xiaolong, Taeyang said as he gave a firm handshake to Naruto. The feeling is mutual. Name's Crow Bronwyn. I promise to do my best as team leader. Crow said while giving a polite bow. Yes. It seemed like the 4 of them would get along just fine. Life at Beacon was going to be interesting for both Naruto and Summer. Neither knowing what the future held, both not expecting their relationship to deepen and go from becoming the best of friends to something more. Time skipped 1 year later. It has already been a year since Naruto first joined Beacon Academy together with Summer. Much has happened within 1 year. Naruto had finally gotten over his past completely, and rarely if ever thought about things in the shinobi world. His team was well bonded and were able to work together, a far cry from Team 7 where everyone refused to cooperate. It had been a fun year in school, although lessons were as boring as they always were. It seemed that was a constant no matter what world you are in. Naruto quickly built a rapport for himself as one of the huntsmen in training with an unmatched aura level and could rival some of the professors. Of course, Naruto made sure to keep some of his better skills hidden away, mostly relying on his fusion sword enhanced with chakra for better cutting power, light use of the Hiraishin, and some chakra attacks that he felt could easily be written off as dust usage. However, despite his best efforts to conceal his true origins, the headmaster somehow figured out he was hiding something and confronted him about it. Of course his team already knew the truth. He had come clean about it a few days in when he felt that they could be trusted. A few days after initiation and after official academy life had started. Guys, what I am about to say does not leave this room, is that clear? Naruto said after they had finished classes. What are you talking about, Naruto? You want to tell us some sort of secret? Crow said. Yes. It has to do with where I come from. Naruto said. You said you came from some faraway village? Taeyang said. That is partially true. The whole truth is that the village I come from is from another dimension. Naruto said as he showed them his Rinnegan. What happened to your eyes? Crow asked, a little scared by the power he could feel radiated from those eyes. These are the Rinnegan. The eyes of a god from where I am from and have various powers. Allow me to show you my story, Naruto said as he looked into their eyes and used Tsukuyumi to show them his life. It all started on October 10th, the night of my birth. Naruto began. By the time the story was completed, his teammates had experienced a range of emotions ranging from sadness, pity, hatred and anger. Naruto's life was truly sad, and it was a miracle that he went through all that and became the young man in front of them today. Summer had a hand over his comforting him, since talking about his past was never something easy to do. We promise you, Naruto, we will not say a word of this to anyone, Crow said while placing a hand on his shoulder. Taeyang nodded at this. Thank you for having faith in us to tell us all this, Naruto. Taeyang said. Hey, if I can't trust my team with this, then how can I trust them with my lives, right? Naruto said, trying to lighten up the mood. 6 months after initiation, Naruto found himself within a secluded room that was oddly familiar to the torture and interrogation room back in Konoha. He had come here after being told that the headmaster wanted to speak to him about some matters urgently. Naruto sighed, hoping that the man was not unto to him, but at the same time was not surprised if he would be. After all, being headmaster of Beacon Academy was like being the Hokage, and one does not become a Hokage by being easily fooled. Mr. Uzumaki, I trust you know why you are here? The headmaster said as he took a seat. No, I do not, sir. Naruto responded curtly. Well then, let me answer that for you. I want to know who exactly you are and where you come from. The headmaster said, his expression turning serious. It is as I told you, sir. I come from a faraway village that now no longer exists anymore. Naruto said, don't use that on me, boy. That may have the others fooled, but you have the eyes of a war veteran. The eyes of someone who has seen far too much of the darker side of humanity. Eyes that do not belong on a young man like yourself. The headmaster said. Naruto sighed. I should have known that you would be able to see through that ruse. Why are you so interested? Naruto said. I am simply trying to ascertain if you are a threat to Remnant and my students. The headmaster said. Can I have assurance that whatever you see or hear here remains between the two of us? Naruto said as he closed his eyes. You have my word that whatever is spoken in this room remains within these 4 walls. The headmaster said. Very well then. It all began on October 10th. The night of my birth. Naruto began as he used Tsukuyumi to show the headmaster his life up to the point of his arrival in Remnant and meeting with Summer. I see. Truly you are a fine man, Mr. Uzumaki. A rare one in a million man so willing to sacrifice himself for the sake of others. You will grow up to be a fine man and an even finer huntsman. Thank you for telling me all of this. You may return back to whatever it is you were doing, the headmaster said as he left the room. In the year that had passed, he and Summer's feelings for each other had developed to the point where they admitted their love for each other, and decided to pursue a relationship romantically. They admitted their feelings during the freshman dance. They went on dates whenever they had the time and also little acts of affection like holding hands or spending time together alone. The team as a whole had developed and quickly became known as the best freshman team at Beacon Academy. All in all, life was good for them. Naruto recalled the fun times he had going out on grim extermination training missions with his team to the Emerald Forest, and how he kept testing out techniques there, and every one single time he pulled a new technique, Crow and Taeyang would be slack-jawed while Summer would be cheering like an excited little schoolgirl. Right now, the team were off on their first official solo mission as a team since second years were finally allowed to take missions. The more Naruto thought about it, Beacon Academy was more like the stage between Genin and Chunin. Basically, to become a Genin here is like to become a huntsman in training, passing the entrance exams to the academies being the equivalent to the Genin test and the preparatory schools being like the Shinobi Academy. The key difference is that there was no fast-track promotion. It was all planned out so you would graduate into the equivalent of a Chunin here after 4 years. They were walking through the forest of Forever Falls to clear out an infestation of Grimm that had been reported dangerously close to the walls of Vale. They were patrolling the area and came to a halt when they noticed a few Ursa roaming the area, each of them taking up their usual spots. Taeyang at the front, Summer and Crow behind him, and Naruto taking point to cover the team with his jutsu and to help sense any incoming danger. Naruto, what are we looking at? Crow asked. Naruto got into a crouching position and his index finger on the ground as he stretched out his senses. We got 2 packs of Ursa including an Ursa Major, and around 20 Beowulfs, Naruto said as he kept his senses at high alert in order to give them ample warning of any danger. When it came to the Grimm, surprises were common. Alright then. Naruto, start us off. Taeyang, go in after the initial assault. Summer, you and I will be following close behind, Crow said as he came up with a battle plan. Naruto held his fusion sword like it was a gun, channeling both wind and lightning chakra into it to create storm release. He discovered after training together with the help of the Bijou that he could create any sub-elemental release he wanted so long as he knew how to create the chakra and knew how to mold the chakra into a jutsu. For example, by mixing together wind chakra and lightning chakra, he could create the chakra of storm release. However, he had to train to control the chakra in order to use jutsu of that element. He found that sub-elements that the Bijou represented were easier because his body subconsciously knew how to use the sub-elemental chakra. Storm release, laser circus, Naruto said as energy pulled at the tip of his fusion sword before multiple lasers were fired off at the Grimm, some managing to land lethal hits while some only managed to hurt the Grimm or separate the groups. Alright then, let's do this, team, Crow said as he and Summer followed behind Taeyang to attack the Grimm, his scythe and fluttering cloak making him look just like the Grim Reaper. Taeyang used his axe to cleave down the Ursa before hurling it through a couple of Beowulfs, the axe landing into the ground with a thunk. Crow used his high-caliber bullets to kill some of the offending Grimm before decapitating a few with his scythe, doing an eerily graceful dance of death. Summer used her semblance to run circles around the Grimm, cutting into their numbers with her twin swords with grace and poise, causing Naruto to let out a whistle. As the last of the Grimm was dispatched by the team, Naruto turned his head so quickly the team could have sworn that they hear something snap. Something big is heading this way, Naruto said. As if on cue, a loud rumbling was heard and a Goliath came charging towards them at high speed, looking to gore them on its tusks. Naruto was quick to act, using his sword to block its tusks. The Goliath used its much higher mass to push Naruto back before throwing him off to the side, stunning him for the moment. Naruto! Summer shouted in worry. Shit, I didn't think that we would encounter a Goliath. And I thought Goliaths were supposed to ignore humans? Taeyang said as he held a ready stance after retrieving his axe. They don't ignore humans. They wait for opportune times to strike. I guess it must have thought that we were weakened from fighting so many of its brethren that it would be a good idea to strike right now, Crow stated. Cho Udama Rasengan. Naruto's voice echoed through the forest as he appeared above the Goliath, and slammed a large ball of swirling blue energy into the creature's back, the compressed ball of chakra grinding into the monster's armored back with ease, turning the creature into paste. Naruto! You're alright! Summer shouted as she glomped Naruto. Had us worried there for a moment when the Goliath threw you aside, Crow said. What was that technique you used against the Goliath? Taeyang asked. It was the Rasengan. A technique my dad developed and I perfected, Naruto said proudly. The rest of them team sharing a knowing look since they knew how much Naruto loved talking about things that linked him back to his parents despite never being able to meet them in real life. Well, let's get back to Beacon Academy. We've got a break till the end of the week after completing the mission, and I think after encountering that Goliath this mission is at the very least a B, maybe even a rank, Crow said as the rest of the team agreed and followed him towards the transport that would take them back to Beacon Academy. Once the team headed back to Beacon Academy, they went to talk to the headmaster about the mission, with Crow giving details on their encounter with the Goliath and how they were able to take it down thanks to their teamwork. The fact that the team encountered a Goliath was disconcerting since Goliaths avoided places with regular human traffic and, given the train passing through Forever Falls, a Goliath should not have been there. Nevertheless, Team Blur was congratulated on a job well done and were given the rest of the week off before returning back for class next week. Hey Summer, how about we head into Vale for a date? I think there is a carnival in town this week. Naruto said as they dumped their gear in the lockers. Sure, why not, Naruto? We can go tomorrow. Right now I just want to relax. Summer said as she closed her locker after depositing her stuff. Sure, who's up for a team lunch? Naruto shouted. Team lunch it is. And Naruto's paying since he suggested it. Crow said. Alright, I second that motion. Taeyang said. I third that motion. Motion carried. Lunch is on, Naruto. Summer said. The team went off to the cafe for a nice lunch in high spirits, all except for Naruto, who was grumbling something about trickster teammates, and crying over how his gamachan was going to become empty. Day. Naruto was strolling through the carnival with his arm wrapped around Summer. Summer was busy eating cotton candy while holding on to a fox plush toy that Naruto had won for her from one of the carnival games. She was leaning her head against Naruto's shoulder as they walked through the carnival, enjoying the sights and sounds as they took part in the various carnival activities. It was getting late and the sun was already setting. They decided to do one last thing at the carnival before heading back to Beacon. Hey, Naruto, thanks for taking me to the carnival today. Summer said as she moved as close to Naruto as possible. It was nothing, Summer. You know I would do anything to make you happy. Naruto said. Say, Naruto, did you love anyone back in your old world? Don't you ever wish to return back to your old world? Summer asked. I did have precious people, but only one of them ever managed to get me to feel the way you make feel. Sadly, the war might have probably changed those feelings and I will never know what we could have become. I used to want to return to my world, to return to all my friends who were once my world, but now I don't really care anymore. Summer, you are my world now. You are everything to me and I would go to the ends of the earth to keep you safe. Naruto said resolutely. I love you, Naruto. Summer said as she moved up to kiss him. I love you too, Summer. Naruto said as he leaned down to capture her lips. Feeling the familiar warmth that he now found addictive envelop him, they broke apart and looked deep into each other's eyes, their feelings of love conveyed without a single word. Come on, Naruto, let's go take the Ferris wheel and enjoy the Vale skyline. I heard that it is breathtaking at night. Then after that we should probably head back to Beacon, Summer said. I don't think it is as breathtaking as you. Naruto said as Summer had a light blush from his compliment. Oh, you flatterer. Come on, let's get going. Summer said as she playfully hit his chest before dragging him towards the Ferris wheel to end off their wonderful date. Time skipped graduation year at Beacon Academy. 4 years had gone by like a breeze for Naruto. Just to think, it had already been more than 4 years since his arrival to Remnant, and his promise to the sage to try and bring peace to this world. Thus far he had some luck, standing up for the fairness at Beacon Academy and become a school icon for equal rights and power through cooperation and understanding. Where there used to be discrimination in the school, it quickly changed to where faunus were treated with equal respect, thus endearing Naruto to the faunus with how he was so willing to stand up for them. It was not a big step towards the peace that he envisioned for this world, but just like in the shinobi world, Naruto would bring peace by touching one life at a time. Him and Summer got even closer. They still had yet to have any form of sexual relations just yet, since they both agreed that they would wait until they were married to do that. However, they were not against making out or having some light petting. They even went to sharing a bed together, although not sleeping naked or anything like that in order to prevent any accidents from happening. Their teammates were very supportive of their relationships as they could see how happy the two made each other feel. His team had become almost like family to him here in Remnant. He had started in this world alone before meeting Summer, and now he had two people he would consider brothers in all but blood. Crow was like the annoyingly smart know-it-all older brother, while Taeyang was like the excitable jock of a little brother who liked telling bad jokes and making lame puns. Team Blur had risen in fame over the years and were touted as a team filled with promising future huntsmen, each of the members earning fame for their individual skill and the team as a whole garnering attention with how well they gelled together, and how they completed their missions, with deadly efficiency. They rarely if ever suffered any injuries even on hard missions, and barring grim casualties, kept any situation well under control. Before they knew it, it was almost time for them to graduate from Beacon Academy. It's hard to believe that it's been 4 years, huh? Crow remarked. Yeah. I mean, it felt like only yesterday that we first joined the academy and went through initiation to become a team. Taeyang remarked. So what are the two of you planning to do once you become fully fledged huntsmen? Summer asked as she had Naruto's arm wrapped around hers while they were walking through the halls for what might be the last time. Well, I was planning on traveling the world and going where the winds take me. It might be nice to know other places besides Vale. Taeyang said. I kind of expected that answer from you, Taeyang. You always look forward to seeing and experiencing new things. Naruto commented. Hey, I can't help but be a curious person. Besides, seeing the world will do me a lot of good. Taeyang said with a chuckle. How about you, Crow? Naruto asked. Well, I guess I'll probably be huntsman for a few years out in the field to gain some experience before I become a professor. I feel that teaching the next generation of potential huntsmen will help ensure the future of Remnant, you know. Crow said. You sure you're still only 20? Because I swear for a moment there you sounded like an enlightened 70-year-old man sprouting sage advice. Summer deadpanned. Hey, I resent that. You've been spending way too much time with Naruto. You've even gained his lousy sense of humor. Crow said. Hey, at least I don't make bad puns like a certain Xiaolong, Naruto said. The team enjoyed a good laugh, enjoying what might be some of their last moments together as a team before they parted ways, although they were definitely going to have reunions. And what are the two of you planning to do? Crow asked. Naruto looked to Summer for a moment before speaking. Well, I guess we are going to do the same as Taeyang, except we are probably going to spend some time in the different kingdoms, so we know how they work better, Naruto said while Summer nodded in agreement. Yeah. We want to see how the other kingdoms operate, and maybe get them to cooperate. We also want to see if we can help bridge the gap between humans and faunas. We also want to see if we can get in touch with the White Fang. Summer elaborated. Achieving your goal of peace one step at a time in Naruto? Well then, whatever it is you do, just know that I will be behind you 100%. Crow said. Me too. We believe in you, Naruto. We know you will find the way to true peace. Taeyang said. Before they could continue their conversation, they heard the warning alarms sound throughout the school halls. The whole team froze and tensed up, ready to spring into action as they waited for the announcement that would explain the cause of the alarm. Attention all students, this is not a drill. Impending grim invasion. All first and second years, proceed to Vale to aid in evacuation. Third years, take your stations behind the second defensive line. Fourth years, take your positions at the primary defensive line. All students gear up and prepare for battle effective immediately. The announcement said as the cause for the alarm was explained. The 4 team members looked at each other for a moment before nodding in agreement. Checking to make sure that no one else was around in the hallways, Naruto used the Haraishin to get them back to their room where they got dressed for battle. They zoomed through the hallways towards the lockers, which were now packed full of all the students who were grabbing their battle gears. As soon as Team Blur was ready, they proceeded to the primary defensive wall to meet with the headmaster in order to receive their orders. Team Blur reporting, sir. Crow said. Alright then, we are looking at a full-scale grim invasion, although we have yet to ascertain the exact number. The headmaster said. Naruto, do you think you could? Crow asked. Naruto nodded, activating his Rinnegan and flaring out his senses. It seems like we have 2 Goliaths, 5 packs of Ursa and around 50 Beowulfs. Naruto said. My word, that is quite the large force. Why would the Grimm suddenly attack like this? Beowulfs and Ursa I can understand, but the Goliaths? This is starting to get odd. It could be possible that this is in retaliation to the expansion of Vale. There have been reports of a herd of Goliath in that area. The headmaster said mostly to himself. What are our orders, sir? Crow asked. For now all we can do is hold the wall. It will take time for the huntsmen we recalled to arrive. The headmaster said. Sir, if I may speak freely? Naruto asked. Go ahead, Naruto. The headmaster said. How much property damage can we afford? Naruto said, gesturing to the landscape where the approaching Grimm could be seen in the distance. As long as the Grimm are repelled, it does not matter why. The headmaster asked. I would like to take the battle to the Grimm. Alone. Naruto said resolutely. Earning shocked gasps from his team. Are you crazy, boy? I can't have you sent out there alone. It would be suicide. The headmaster said. No, it wouldn't. If I attack the Grimm now while we are still far away from the civilization, then I don't need to hold back. Naruto said, his Rinnegan shining. Very well then, go on ahead. The headmaster relented. You better not die out there, Naruto. Crow said. You better come back to us, to me, Naruto. Summer said as she gave him a passionate kiss. I will. Naruto said before he jumped off the wall, landing softly on the ground. This will be the perfect test for this. Complete body Susanoo. Naruto said as the Tomo and his Rinnegan started spinning. His body was covered in an ethereal blue glow before a ribcage formed around him. The ribcage expanded into a full skeletal structure before being covered in muscles. The Susanoo further expanded, transforming into a large blue Tengu warrior the size of a mountain with Naruto situated in a jewel in its head. My word, he had something like that hidden away? Crow said in awe and shock while Taeyang muttered something along the lines of overkill much. Oh my, Naruto and that warrior thingy are so cool. Summer gushed. I am going to have so much paperwork after this. I can already feel the headache. The headmaster said while rubbing his temples. Naruto made his Susanoo walk towards the approaching Grimm. He stopped when he felt he was close enough and decided to test out the power of his complete body Susanoo in real life, having only used it in his training with the Bijou in his mindscape. He created amaterasu flames in one hand and a bow in another. Blaze release, flame control. Amaterasu arrow. Naruto said as he formed an arrow with the amaterasu flames, cleaving a clear path straight through the approaching Grimm as they were burned by the eternal black flames of amaterasu. He willed away the construct before holding the sheathed katana, channeling chakra as he prepared to draw the blade. With a swift pull, the chakra was released and the radiant energy surged outward, destroying the remaining Grimm and cleaving the mountain in half. My word. That thing is damn powerful. Crow remarked while Taeyang let out a whistle. My god, I am going to have so much paperwork for the collateral damage he caused. The next time I tell him he can level the landscape, someone please beat the sense back into my head. The headmaster said as the Susanoo disappeared and Naruto returned back to the primary defense line. In the aftermath of the Grimm attack, Naruto was given a medal for his strength, and rumors started spreading on how his semblance allowed him to generate large constructs of aura. He was even believed to be the strongest huntsman of the generation, and maybe even the strongest huntsman in history. Before long, graduation day rolled by, and as everyone celebrated becoming huntsmen, Team Blur enjoyed the bittersweet moment of being an official team for the last day. They shared a final celebratory drink, promising to meet once more in the future and to always keep in touch before going their separate ways. Summer and Naruto leaving together on their journey to try and bring peace to the world and unite the four kingdoms, both human and faunus alike. Naruto sighed in contentment as he leaned against a tree in a park in Atlas. He enjoyed moments like this in between jobs as huntsman, times when he could just relax and enjoy the company of his most precious person. He looked down and smiled as he saw Summer relaxing with her head in his lap as he ran his fingers through her hair. He loved being able to just relax with Summer without having to think about missions or anything. It had been 6 years since Naruto and Summer had graduated from Beacon Academy. In those 6 years, the pair had visited 3 of the 4 kingdoms, spending around 2 years in each of the kingdoms. They had started their careers as huntsmen in Vale, spending 2 years in their native kingdom, taking on missions and learning more about the kingdom in general. It was also some time after they had graduated that Naruto had decided to give Summer chakra, using his son Mark to unlock the dormant chakra network, and also bestowing her with the Sharingan for good measure. He recalled that fond memory of how excited she had been upon receiving her gift. It was Summer's birthday that day and Naruto was raking his head trying to come up with a gift. It was still night outside, so Summer had yet to awaken. Currently, Naruto was pacing inside his mindscape with the bijou watching with rapt amusement. He was walking back and forth while scratching his head trying to come up with a good birthday present to give to Summer since this was going to be her 21st birthday, so he wanted to make it really special. Brat. Will you stop that annoying pacing? You are going to burn a hole in the mindscape, Kurama said as he rested his head on his paws. But I can't think of a good gift for Summer, Naruto said. Relax, Naruto, I am sure she will like whatever you give to her, Gyuki said. Yes. After all, it is the thought and sincerity that counts the most when giving a gift, Koko said. Well, I say you rock her world and tap that beauty. I mean, you two haven't done anything with each other at all, Shikaka said with a mad grin. Shut up, you Ero Tanuki, Naruto said while images of him and Summer getting it on assaulted his mind, resulting in a light nosebleed. How about you give her chakra, Naruto? Matatabi suggested. Wait, I can do that, Naruto said incredulously. You have the sage's knowledge, for goodness sake. It seems things never change. You are still as blur and stupid as ever, Kurama said. Hey, I resent that I have gotten smarter here, Naruto countered. Anyway, Naruto, yes, you can give the gift of chakra to others, but I would be careful of who you give it to. You wouldn't want the same thing as the shinobi world taking place here, Gyuki warned. Yeah, I know, but as long as we are careful with it, and preach it as a way to protect those you love and to reach out to others, then it will be fine, I guess, Naruto said deep in thought. Your mate should be worthy enough to receive chakra. In fact, I support her getting chakra. Anyone who can keep your dumb ass in line has my vote, Kurama said. Are any of you against me giving Summer chakra? Naruto asked the rest of the bijou. Thank you for considering all of our views, Naruto, but the choice is ultimately yours as the successor to the Sage of the Six Paths, and the first Sage of the Six Paths in this world. You make the final decision, Chomi said. I feel that Summer is a pure soul. She has done nothing but treat you with love and kindness. Truly you have found a good mate, Naruto, Son Goku commented. Alright then, I guess that solves my problem of a birthday present, Naruto said as he left the mindscape. Honestly, that kid only knows how to think about others. He cares more for others than about himself. Saiken mused. That is why he is so deserving to carry on father's legacy. Because he knows the power of unity and harmony, a power only usable by someone who places others before himself, Kurama said as the bijou all shared a smile before returning back to hibernation. Sometime later that day in a secluded forest clearing. Hey Summer, close your eyes. I have a present for you, Naruto said. What is it, Naruto? Summer asked excitedly. She felt Naruto place his right hand on her forehead. Naruto focused and unlocked her chakra system while imparting some of his power into her. Summer felt a surging warmth fill her body. She felt power she never knew before waiting to be used. There, Naruto said as he removed his hand from her forehead and took her hands in his. I have given you the gift of chakra and some of my own power. This will allow you to use some of my techniques, although the extent of what you can do with chakra remains to be seen. Are you sure about this, Naruto? Giving me this power? Summer asked, shocked by the gift. I trust you, Summer. You have shown me nothing but kindness and love. I want to give you this power so that you can protect yourself, and so we can remain together for as long possible, Naruto said while giving her a soft smile. I promise, Naruto, I will follow you everywhere and help you achieve your dream of peace, Summer said resolutely. And I promise that I will never leave you, Summer, Naruto replied as the two shared a passionate kiss. The two who started in this world alone, now would always have each other for as long as they lived. Over the 6 years, Naruto had eased Summer into using her chakra, teaching her what he knew from his own knowledge as well as the knowledge of the Sage of the Six Paths. He discovered some interesting things over time as he trained Summer in using chakra. First was that his chakra had somehow gained an elevated state that allowed him to better understand others. He chalked this up to his chakra changing back to the concept of Nishu and being used to connect people. Second was that he shared a mental bond with Summer, and she was able to enter his mindscape to converse with the Bijou, and vice versa. They could communicate and understand each other through thought. In terms of chakra prowess, Summer on her own quite powerful. She didn't have the largest reserves, but she did have excellent control. Thanks to the power Naruto gave her, she possessed the ability to use all 5 nature releases, and her reserves were also around Hokage level. Naruto had also managed to pass on the Sharingan to her, and for some unknown reason, her Sharingan had evolved directly into the Manjikyu state but with no risk of blindness. Kurama suspected that it was due to Naruto sharing some of Indra's chakra with Summer. For training, Naruto had her use shadow clones to speed up her training since they rarely had time to train. He had started her off doing basic chakra exercises while also making use of his Kamui dimension in order to train her in jutsu. Her excellent control allowed her to make use of Tsunade's super strength technique, and she also had an aptitude for medical ninjutsu. Naruto had left her with the scrolls from Tsunade that he had brought with him so that she could learn at her own leisure. He had taught her many jutsu but always focused on mastering what she knew first before moving on. To him this meant that she could perform jutsu with either fewer hand seals, or without the need for hand seals at all. This stemmed from the belief he shared with his father that if you could strike before your enemy then you would be the one left standing. Teaching her jutsu also allowed Naruto to explore some of the knowledge that the Six Paths sage had left behind for him, including some on jutsu and also on some other things, like Six Paths senjutsu, and some other aspects of the Rinnegan. He had also helped her master the Sharingan, and her unique Manjikyu powers. Summer possessed the same ocular powers as Itachi Uchiha. Her left eye had the power of Amaterasu while her right eye had the power of Tsukuyomi. After she became proficient in using both Amaterasu and Tsukuyomi, which Naruto noted her application was quite unique compared to Itachi since she would change up the illusion to achieve the desired effects rather than just cause mental trauma. Summer using her Sharingan for the first time had been quite hilarious. Naruto, I feel an odd sensation in my eyes, Summer said one day as they were training chakra control exercises. Why don't you try focusing your chakra to your eyes? Naruto advised. Summer did as suggested, and when she opened her eyes, her regular silver eyes were replaced with blood-red ones with 3 tomos in each eye before they converged once more to form a black circle with 4 diagonal lines that nearly touch in the center. Naruto, my eyes feel weird and everything looks funny. You look blue, and why are you moving so slowly? Summer said as she looked around with her new vision. Relax, Summer, everything is still the same, it's just that you activated the Sharingan. I must have given it to you when I gave you some of my power, Naruto said before he went on to explain what the Sharingan could do. Summer was excitedly walking around the forest where they were training while testing out her new vision. Whoa, I feel really tired suddenly, Summer said as she fell over, Naruto catching her in his arms before she could hit the ground. Just stop the chakra flow to your eyes. You aren't used to them just yet, so you are wasting a lot of chakra having them active. Over time you can activate them for as long as you need with minimal drain with training, Naruto said. Summer nodded in understanding as she managed to stand on her own, the two of them deciding to call it quits for the day and spend some time enjoying their last days in Vale. During those 6 years, Summer had progressed to the point where she could easily go toe-to-toe with a Kage-level shinobi from his own world, with the only unknown factor being battle experience. While a strong huntsman, Summer never had to fight against another huntsman before, so Naruto tried to remedy that problem by sparring with her on occasion. He had also used the power of the creation of all things in order to recreate her swords with chakra-conductive metal to allow her to fight with them in a similar way to his fusion sword. She had learned many different elemental jutsu, and he had also taught her the Rasengan, and also basic Fuin jutsu. Thanks to the knowledge left behind by the Sage of Six Paths, Naruto was now a master at Fuin jutsu, and he taught Summer the basics as well as showing her the possibilities of what it could do. Occasionally, the two of them would brainstorm possible concepts for Fuin jutsu or things Summer wanted to see it do, and they would work together to either try to achieve it or get close enough to the desired result. One interesting thing to note was that her Susanoo was pink, much to her glee. Naruto mused that the Susanoos probably took the same color as the dominant emotion of their user at the time of first manifestation. Madara's was blue, probably representing his desire to protect his clan. Sasuke's was purple to show his hatred. Itachi's was orange, probably to show his regret at his actions. Naruto's was blue to show his desire to protect his precious people, while Summer's was pink because it was Summer's Susanoo. This made Naruto ponder the capability of changing the color of the Susanoo. In his mind, it would be totally awesome to have an orange Susanoo. Aside from training and seeing the world of Remnant, Naruto had been busy establishing contacts and building up not only his own reputation but also a spy network of reliable contacts, just like Jiraiya had in the elemental nations. He had come to understand the value of knowledge, and he felt having a strong spy network would benefit in the coming storm, which he felt was approaching the world of Remnant soon. Naruto had also taken the time to get to know the organization known as the White Fang. He found their goals quite admirable, and their current method of operation was one that he was not against. However, having had experience in the shinobi world, Naruto did not take chances and created a strengthened blood clone that would infiltrate the White Fang under the alias of Menma. He had Matatabi stay with the blood clone so that it could operate indefinitely, and to also create believable faunus features such as cat ears. The strengthened clone would act as his contact with the white Fang. The organization was looking more and more similar to the Akatsuki every time he interacted with it that he feared it would go down the same dark path of peace through fear. Spending time in each of the 4 kingdoms made Naruto draw similarities between them and the hidden villages back in his original world. Vale was like Konoha, surrounded by lush forests. Vacuo reminded him a lot of Suna with the hot desert-like climate. Mistral reminded him of Kiri and a little of Iwa, and although he had yet to spend the same amount of time here in Atlas as the other kingdoms, it was shaping up to be very similar to Kuma with its strong military and air fleet. Naruto and Summer were building up a strong rapport as huntsmen, having never failed a mission before and completing all their missions with deadly efficiency with little casualties except for Grim. They had also bumped into Taiyan a few times while he was on his world travels, most often working with him for a short while before Taiyan would move on seeking greater thrill and to help more people along the way. Naruto was snapped out of his thoughts when he felt a familiar soft hand on his cheek. "Naruto, what's the matter?" Summer said as she ran her hand on his cheek, tracing his whisker marks. "Nothing, I was just thinking about the time we've spent together, and how long it's been since we've been back in Vale," Naruto said while taking in the appearance of his now 26-year-old lover. Summer had become a beautiful young woman now, filling out well. Her breasts had developed from the modest B cup when she graduated Beacon to now large and full C cups border lining on D cups. She had gotten even more shapely and toned with all the training they had been doing, and the love the two shared had never once died down. "Yeah. It's been 4 years since we last were in Vale," Summer said as Naruto helped her up, dusting off her cloak as she stood up. Their appearance remained largely the same since their graduation from Beacon Academy, with the only change being the black cloaks with red clouds that they would sometimes wear when doing missions. "Well then, I guess we should get going, it's almost late, and we should find our apartment for the next 2 years before it gets too dark," Naruto said as he offered an arm which Summer gladly accepted, wrapping it in her bosom and leaning her head against his shoulder. The two walked in comfortable silence towards the place that they would call home for the next 2 years, enjoying each other's company. Time skip, 2 years. Their 2 years spent in Atlas had come to an end. Naruto had got to know some of the people in this kingdom, including adding a few more contacts to his roster in the spy network. He had met one of the up-and-coming people in Atlas, a young man by the name of James Ironwood. He seemed like a good man but at the same time was oddly reminiscent of Danzo except without the war hawk's insanity, but still sharing his beliefs in the importance of being a strong dominant military power and acting first, asking questions later. Naruto foresaw problems with this man and an up-and-coming huntsman by the name of Ajin, who Naruto felt would most likely become the next headmaster of Beacon Academy. Naruto chuckled to himself as the two seemed to remind him a little bit of the competition between Old Man Third and Danzo back when they were friends and rivals. Today was the day they were due to leave for Vale and settle down for a while. Naruto, feeling that he had seen enough of the other kingdoms and his spy network was established enough such that it would be a good idea to create a base of operations. He also wanted to finally tie the knot with Summer and wanted to start a family. While Summer was busy getting some trinkets to bring back home to Vale with them, Naruto was packing up the apartment, storing their personal belongings in storage scrolls before sending it off into his Kamui dimension. Today's the day. It's now or never, I guess, Naruto thought to himself as he sat down on the couch while waiting for Summer to return. In his right hand was a small box that he wanted to propose to Summer with. He heard the doorbell ring and quickly got up to greet Summer. "Hey Summer, I have something important I need to ask you," Naruto said nervously. "Yes sure Naruto, what's up?" Summer responded. Immediately Naruto went down on one knee in front of her and presented her the ring, earning a shocked gasp from her. "Summer, I have known you for 12 years now. We have spent these last 8 years journeying together and my love for has grown by leaps and bounds. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. You alone have my heart like no one else will. So will you, Summer Rose, do me the honor of marrying me and becoming my wife, staying by my side forever?" Naruto asked. There was silence as Summer seemed to take a while to register the words. Yes, I will, Naruto," Summer said in utter happiness as Naruto slid the ring onto her finger. She immediately tackled Naruto to the ground, hugging the life out of him as the two of them shared a passionate kiss, both feeling completely content, the world melting away as the only thing they had eyes for was each other. The two of them held their wedding as soon as was possible upon their return to Vale. They had a conservative function with only their closest friends in attendance. Safe to say Naruto was completely shocked upon seeing Summer in a wedding dress, with the bijou inside him laughing at their host, and how he could deal with threats to the world and face down the likes of Madara Uchiha without fear, but turned into an utter mess upon seeing his soon-to-be wife in her wedding dress. The wedding went on without a hitch, and they got to catch up with many of their old friends in Vale. Taiyan even came back to Vale just for their wedding. Team Blur taking the opportunity to exchange stories. Taiyan, Naruto and Summer sharing with Crow about some of their adventures in the other kingdoms while Crow told them about his time as a huntsman as well as being a teacher at Signal Academy. As the celebration to the wedding died down, Naruto swept Summer off her feet and used the Hiraishin to take them back to the house in Patch which he had commissioned some time back with the help of Crow to be their new home for them and their eventual children. He created a clone to open the door for them and set Summer down on their bed. Summer kissed him softly on the lips before she went off to the bathroom. Naruto took off his uncomfortable suit, leaving him in only a white undershirt and his black pants. "You were amazing, my love," Naruto said as he looked lovingly at his new wife. "And you were too, dear," Summer said as she nuzzled into his chest, enjoying his familiar warmth. Naruto could not think of any other time in his life when he ever felt this happy or this content. He had a whole life ahead of him together with his new wife Summer Uzumaki, and he looked forward to the day when he would eventually be able to hold on to their children. Happiness overwhelming the two of them as they finally fell asleep from the events of the day. Naruto was hopping through the trees after a mission to clear his head as he was making his way back to his house. He smiled fondly as he looked forward to seeing his family after being away for a week and a half on a grim extermination mission. He was away for longer because he was busy checking out his spy network as well as keeping tabs on the White Fang. He frowned as he thought about the White Fang. It really was like Akatsuki now. It had been all about equality between the races through peaceful movements in the past, but now they were getting increasingly violent, and some bystanders had been injured during their recent demonstrations. The organization was really troubling him, and that was why he needed to clear his mind before seeing his family. He stopped for a moment to hold the locket that was tied around his neck. He opened it to show a picture of his wife and his two daughters. One was a blonde-haired girl with purple eyes almost like his mother Kushina, and the other was a dark red almost black-haired girl with silver eyes just like her mother. He smiled fondly as he thought about his family. He still recalled what happened when Summer had told him that she was pregnant. "Hey Naruto, I have some news for you," Summer said as she walked into Naruto's study where he was currently doing some work. "What is it, Summer?" Naruto said as his wife took a seat on his lap. "I'm pregnant," Summer said. "Silence, silence, you're pregnant? I'm going to be a father? I'm going to be a father!" Naruto cheered after letting the statement settle in. He carried Summer by her waist and proceeded to spin around in joy. "Put me down, Naruto!" Summer shouted as she pounded on his arms. "Sorry about that. I'm just so excited, you know. A family. Our family," Naruto said as he put Summer down. Summer placed a hand on his cheek while smiling lovingly at him. "I know, Naruto. I'm excited about this too. But at the same time I'm a little scared." "Are we ready to be parents?" Summer said. "Summer, I don't think anyone is ever ready to be a parent, and I don't even know what having a father or a mother means since I never got to have a family growing up," Naruto said. While Summer gave him a sad smile knowing the kind of childhood Naruto had. "But I promise you I will be there for you and the child. I will support, love and treasure the child and do my best as a father," Naruto stated resolutely, Summer giving a warm smile before they shared a happy kiss. This made Naruto recall the time when Summer actually gave birth to their first daughter. Going through pregnancy was tough. The sweet and caring Summer became a monster at times thanks to her mood swings, and she kept craving the weirdest foods, forcing Naruto to sometimes use the Haraishin to visit the other kingdoms to get the food that she wanted. Then came the actual birth. Naruto could not remember ever going through a more painful period. "Hang in there, Summer. You are doing a great job," Naruto said as his hand was being held by his wife as she was going into labor. "You are telling me to hang in there? Why don't you try going through this? It hurts so much. I'm going to kill you for putting me through this, Naruto," Summer screamed. Naruto winced as he felt several of his bones in his hand break from Summer's strength. He bit his lips to muffle the pain and kept a calm facade as he forced purified chakra to heal his hand and also to help ease Summer's pain. After a good while of his wife shouting obscenities and enduring her super strength, the birth was finally successful and the doctors handed Summer a little blue bundle that contained their daughter. There was a tuft of blonde hair peeking through and both Naruto and Summer smiled warmly at their little blonde bundle of joy. Summer rocked the bundle gently in her arms and smiled warmly at it as the baby cooed softly. "What should we name her?" Summer asked turning to her husband. "How about Yang?" Naruto said. "Yang Uzumaki. I like the sound of that." "Would you like to hold her?" Summer said as she handed the bundle to her husband. "Hey there, Yang. I'm your dad. I don't know if I'm suited to be a father, but I promise you will grow up with the things I never got to have," Naruto said as he rocked the bundle back and forth smiling at his daughter as her purple eyes stared into his blue ones. "And to think that just 2 years after that we had Ruby," Naruto thought to himself as he recalled the birth of his second daughter. While his first daughter took more after his side of the family with Kushina's eyes and the blonde hair and some facial features, Ruby took more after her mother Summer and had black hair that turned red at the ends and a very similar facial structure to Summer, and even had her silver eyes. "I still remember the day we told Crow and Taeyang that we had named them as Yang and Ruby's godfathers," Naruto said to himself as he remembered introducing his former team to his daughters, with Ruby immediately taking a liking to Crow while Yang preferred the more carefree Taeyang. Both of his daughters were his little bundles of joy. Yang took more after him in personality, and was playful and adventurous. Ruby was more shy and reserved, but both had great potential. Yang was now 8 and Ruby was now 6. Deciding that his mind was clear enough, he used the Haraishin to get back to his house in an instant, feeling for the marker that was placed on the door. He opened it and gave a greeting. Instantly 2 blurs, one blonde and one red, glommed him. "Daddy? You're back," Yang shouted as she and Ruby both hugged their father tightly. Where did you go, Daddy? Ruby asked. Daddy had to go and do some work. Sorry he had to be gone for so long. Now how have my two little girls been doing? Naruto said. We've been good, Daddy. When are you going to teach us how to do cool things like you and Mom can do? Yang pestered. Yeah, Dad. We want to learn how to do cool things like you and Mom and help people too. Ruby chorused. Soon. The two of you are still a little young to start learning. Naruto said. In truth, Yang was old enough, but Naruto wanted to wait till he could train both Yang and Ruby at the same time before teaching them things. Promise? Yang asked with a cute pout that Naruto had to use all of his willpower not to crumble under. Yes. I promise. Now where is your mother? Naruto said as he let go of his two daughters. Mommy is in the kitchen making cookies again. But she won't let us eat ramen. Ruby said. Both his daughters had somehow gotten his addiction to ramen, but Summer had been quick to curb it, only allowing them to get ramen once a week. His daughters also had a sweet tooth, and Summer really liked baking cookies for them. Naruto walked into the kitchen and smiled as he saw his wife tapping her feet expectantly while staring at the oven timer. She was wearing her white hooded cloak as usual, but the hood was down. She still looked the same as 8 years ago. Her age seemingly stopped. Kurama had explained that Naruto had given her some of the Uzumaki longevity when he shared his chakra with her, giving her a lifespan close to his. His daughters would also have an extended lifespan. Naruto himself had seemed to not age since he reached his late 20s. His unruly blonde hair was now trimmed well, and he wore an orange long-sleeved shirt that had black stripes on the bottom and on the cuffs. He wore black shinobi pants tucked into combat boots. Over that he had a white cloak with red flames on the bottom tied with a gold chain at the front. Hello, dear. Did you miss me? Naruto said as he hugged his wife from behind. Summer yelped for a moment before relaxing into his familiar touch. She turned around and kissed him before speaking. I did miss you, love. The kids did too. Although I am very bored ever since you forbade me from taking missions ever since that accident. Summer said. You know that I am just worried about you. I don't want to lose you, Summer. When I found you that day, I was so scared, Naruto said as he recalled the events of Summer's last mission. Naruto was currently out in the city with his two daughters while his wife was away on a routine patrol mission in the outskirts of Patch. He had just returned from buying ice cream for his two little angels when he felt a disturbing feeling in his gut that made his heart clench. He immediately tried to feel out Summer's marker, and he became even more worried when he found her chakra levels to be in the red. Acting quickly, he teleported his kids back to the house. What's wrong, Daddy? Yang asked. Listen, Yang, I need you to be a good older sister and look after Ruby for me. Something might have happened to your mother, and I need to go and see if she is alright. I will leave a clone behind with you just in case. Can you do that for me? Naruto said as he knelt down to be level with his eldest daughter. I will, Daddy. Will Mommy be alright? Yang asked. I promise I will bring her back, Yang. Naruto said as he created a clone. He stood back up and after rubbing the head of his eldest daughter affectionately teleported to the location of his wife fully prepared for battle. When he finally got to the place where Summer was, he felt his heart clench even harder. Summer was surrounded by Grim, and she was unconscious. Naruto's mind was racing a mile a minute as he wondering why there was such a high concentration of Grim in Patch. He acted on instinct and went into Kurama mode, forming chakra arms that proceeded to tear the Grim apart as though they were twigs, some of them falling to raisingans that the limbs made. Quickly rushing to his wife's side, Naruto held her in his arms, tears filling the corner of his eyes as he feared the worst. Summer! Summer! Please hang on! You can't leave me! Naruto pleaded as he held her close to him, not getting any response as she was oddly pale. Naruto, listen to me, she used so much of her chakra that she is in danger of dying. The only way for you to save her is to jumpstart her chakra. You can either transfer more of your power at the risk of your own life, or you can transfer one of us into her, and we can do the rest. Kurama communicated to his partner, but I can't do that to any of you. I can't let you be sealed away into another person. Naruto communicated back. Naruto, I do not mind being transferred into your mate. All your life you have lived for others, giving your all for the sake of people who were your enemy. This time allow us to help you instead, Naruto. Gyuki said. Very well then. Thank you very much for this, Gyuki. Naruto relayed. I have a feeling that Shui will be every bit as fun as Killer Bee was, but without the terrible rapping. Gyuki mused. Naruto got to work quickly, summoning the sealing altar and preparing everything for the transfer ritual so that he could transfer and seal Gyuki into Summer in order to save her life. He carried out the necessary steps after laying Summer down in the sealing altar. He transferred Gyuki over into Summer's body, which shook in pain as it adapted to the tailed beast's chakra. He quickly placed a hack fuin on her that was similar to his own to keep Gyuki stable within her body. Is it working? Naruto asked. Now you need to channel some of your yang power into her body while Gyuki helps from inside her. Kurama instructed. Naruto did as he was told, using the sun mark of the sage in order to push yang chakra through Summer's body, which seemed to gradually return to life. He kept going as he noticed her eyes flutter open before she settled on his face. His eyes were slightly red from his tears and she could see the radiant golden flame surrounding his body as he was still in Kurama mode. Naruto? Summer said weakly. I'm here, Summer. Everything is going to be alright. The Grimm are gone, Naruto said as he pulled her into a tight hug. Hoping that this was true and that she was alive. I'm fine now, Naruto. I'm sorry for making you worry, Summer said while running her hands through his hair. I was so worried, you know. When I sensed that your energy was in the red, then when I got her you were unconscious and the Grimm surrounded you, Naruto said. Sure. It's okay, Naruto. You know I would never leave you. And I knew you would come to save me, Summer said. The two shared a kiss before Naruto brought Summer back home for rest. He forbid her from taking on any missions from that day forward until she could completely master Gyuki's chakra. I know you were worried, but that was that day, love. I've recovered right now and I don't want to be cooped up all the time, Summer said. I will let you go once you have finished your training in using Gyuki's chakra. Right now you can control the chakra, but you haven't been able to do a full transformation, which means that you aren't fully in sync with him yet, so you don't have access to his full power. Please, Summer. It will make me feel more at peace knowing that Gyuki has got your back, Naruto said to her with a soft expression. I know you just worry about me. And I will do it because I do not want to risk leaving our daughters alone with you. Who knows what might happen to them, Summer said with a shudder. Hey. I can take care of them, Naruto said as he finally caught the joke. I know you can, but our children will grow up knowing both a father's and mother's love. Anyway, what have you found out while checking in with your informants? Summer said, changing the subject. Nothing much. Just the White Fan has been getting increasingly more violent, and are planning more of their new protests soon. I also investigated some things related to Grimm, but I haven't been able to really find anything. I know it has something to do with the shattered moon and the origin of man, Naruto said with a serious face. I see. Well then, when are you going to train our daughters? Summer asked, knowing how much Ruby and Yan wanted to learn how to do the cool things their parents could. When Ruby turns 8, then we will start training them together to keep things simpler. I might be a little busy these next few weeks creating another identity, Naruto said, recalling another thing he had to do. Another one? Don't you already have Menma, or as most people call him, Kitsune, in the White Fawn already? Summer asked. Yeah. This one is to be a vigilante of sorts. It will allow me to act upon things without having any links to us or to have repercussions to any of the kingdoms, and I already have a persona in mind, Naruto said seriously. You are taking things awfully seriously right now, Naruto. Is something going on, Naruto? Summer asked. I don't know, Summer. I honestly hope that I am just being paranoid, but I cannot help the feeling that a storm is coming, Naruto said. Time skip. 2 years. 2 years seemed to pass by quickly as both Yang and Ruby were now ready to be trained by their parents. The two were extremely excited to learn how to do cool things like their parents, and also wanted to go on an adventure, and save people and help others just like their parents did. Naruto had helped them to awaken their dormant bloodlines and was pleased to know that they both had inherited the Sharingan from him and Summer. It was one of the more multi-purpose Kekai Genkai that existed. Their training mainly consisted of general chakra control to help them make full use of their large reserves and also to help them learn jutsu. He also taught them basic weapon training together with Summer. He took note of what each of his daughters liked so that he could create an individual training regime for each of his daughters that would play to their own strengths and help them in overcoming some of their weaknesses. For this first year, they would train together in the basics before Summer and Naruto would take turns in teaching them the more advanced stuff. While Naruto and Summer rarely took missions during this period of time because they wanted to dedicate themselves to training their two daughters, Naruto was not idle. Naruto had created another alias to operate from the shadows for him. Thus the legend of the man in the orange mask was created in Remnant. The man named Toby once again walked the earth thanks to the use of a strengthened blood clone. The main purpose of the alias was to allow Naruto to act in situations as he saw fit without drawing any flack. Toby had quickly built a reputation as a fearsome man who was untouchable due to his semblance, which was simply Kamui. He was being hailed as a hero by the general public while the authorities viewed him as a villain who wanted power and should not be allowed to run free or trusted. As time went on, Naruto would occasionally take the time off to investigate the increasing Grimm activity or sudden changes in their behavior pattern using his Rinnegan to track their energies. Most often his searches led to little clues or sometimes even to dead ends, but he made sure to collate everything together in a journal in his study for future reference. He would always make sure to leave behind a clone to help Summer in training Yang and Ruby, even though he knew Summer could do it on her own since he knew how much his daughters liked having him around when they trained. Yan had shown great aptitude for hand-to-hand combat, and her energetic personality made her seem almost like a female version of Lee, only replacing the constant preaching of the flames of youth with bad puns and jokes. This of course made Naruto shudder a little at the thought of having someone similar to Lee running around, but he quickly dismissed that thought. He thought Yan a variation of Might Guy's taijutsu using scrolls that he had, substituting the need for the 8 gates formation with copious amounts of chakra and good control. This combined with the Sharingan to help her counter and read her opponent's moves made her a formidable person to face in close combat. Ruby on the other hand showed great aptitude for weapons of various shapes and sizes. Although shy, the way she gushed at different weapons whenever Naruto or Summer would bring out new ones to try during training made Naruto compare her to Tenten. Ruby could use a sword well and was quick to pick up any sort of weapon after being given some time to use it. However, she did not really have a preference for any single weapon just yet, and so Naruto and Summer created a multi-purpose style derived from various weapon-wielding techniques that they thought that would give her a strong foundation when she finally decided on what weapon she wanted to use. Aside from training them in combat skills, Yang and Ruby were also given an introduction to ninjutsu. Although Summer had somehow gotten an affinity to all 5 chakra natures through Naruto giving her some of his chakra, neither Yang nor Ruby had an affinity to all 5 chakra natures. Yang had an affinity for fire and lightning while Ruby got water, wind and earth. In addition to elemental ninjutsu which they were both taught in their respective elements, they were also taught standard techniques like the Rasengan, shadow clones and of course the substitution and transformation techniques. In between training Yang and Ruby, Naruto would go on full-on spars with Summer so that he could help her practice some of the more destructive things in her arsenal such as the tailed beast transformation and the complete body Susanoo. The spars were also good to help keep Naruto in shape and familiar with his more powerful techniques so as to not get rusty in using things like Kurama mode, Sage mode and his own Susanoo. Time flies by so fast, don't you think? In a few months both of them will be heading off to Signal Academy. They grow up so fast. It felt like it was only yesterday that they were in our arms, innocent to the ways of the world. Naruto mused as he watched Ruby and Yang spar in the private training grounds underneath their home. He was seated down against the wall, and Summer was next to him, putting her weight against his shoulder, as he had an arm wrapped around her waist. Now you sound like some old man, dear. You knew they would grow up. This is life. Time waits for no man. Still, was it wise to get Ruby entered into Signal 2 years early? Summer said as she watched Yang counter Ruby's water dragon bullet technique with the fire-based version of that same element. I don't know if it's a correct decision, but those two are almost inseparable, and Ruby is more than ready for what Signal Academy can throw at her. Besides, if we didn't let her follow Yang, she would be continuously pestering us to let her go. Naruto said with a chuckle. You are right about that. Summer said. Great job, you two. Now why don't you both call it a day? That's enough training for now, and both of you need to start getting ready to start your time at Signal Academy, Naruto said as he handed his daughter's towels to clean off the perspiration from the training spar. Oh, will we get to see Uncle Crow? Yang asked. Yes, you two will get to meet Uncle Crow. In fact, he will be one of your instructors at Signal Academy, Naruto said. Yay! We get to meet Uncle Crow. Ruby cheered. Now, when you both go to Signal, I want you two to be good. Listen to your teachers and don't give them trouble. Well, not too much trouble anyway. I won't be around as often because there are some things I need to do in the other kingdoms and in some other places, so I need to apologize for not being around as often for the two of you. But I will make sure to come visit you both and your mother as often as I can. Can you forgive your old man for not being able to see you two grow up in school with the passing of each day? Naruto said as he knelt down so he was level with his two daughters. It's okay, Daddy. We understand. Daddy needs to go out to save the world. Yang said. Yeah, Daddy needs to go stop the bad guys. Ruby chorused. That's right. I need to protect everyone, especially the both of you and your mother because the three of you are my most precious people. But do you remember the 3 most important things I taught you? Naruto said. Not everyone is evil. Some are just misguided while others are merely expressing their hurt. Those who abandon their friends are worse than scum. We must always do our best to understand others and their viewpoints before judging their decisions and actions. Yang and Ruby said in unison. That's right. Now why don't the two of you go shower? It's almost time for dinner, Naruto said. Yang and Ruby nodded and left to their own rooms. Do you really need to go on your own for so long? Summer asked a little sadly. You know that the mystery surrounding the Grimm needs to be solved and I need to keep track of the White Fang. Too much is going on too fast, and it seems suspicious, Naruto said. I know, but still can I at least go with you? Summer asked. Summer, only the Rinnegan can track the traces of the Grimm's energy. And I need you here to look after our family, and just in case anything happens. Naruto said. You know, if not for the bond we share I would think that you were leaving for so long to cheat on me. Summer joked, trying to forget her sadness. You know I only have eyes for you. Naruto reassured. Well, I could use some reassurance if you know what I mean. Summer said. Well then I guess as a dutiful husband it is my job to make sure my wife is satisfied, Naruto said with a grin as he swept Summer off her feet before carrying her off to their room for some fun. Time skip first day at Signal Academy. Well girls, this is it, Signal Academy, the place that will be your second home for the next 4 years, Naruto said as he walked with his daughters and wife to the school for the first, and possibly only time. It's going to be so awesome, Ruby. We finally get to start our journey at becoming huntsmen. Yang said excitedly. Be good now and I will see you later at home. Summer said to her 2 daughters. Make sure to listen to your mother, and I will hopefully see you at the end of the month, Naruto said as he rubbed the top of both of his daughters' heads affectionately before kneeling down to their level to allow them to give them a goodbye kiss. Bye Mom. Bye Dad. Please come home safe and soon, Dad. Yang and Ruby said before they walked into Signal Academy. Well, I guess I should get going, Naruto said as he took one last look at the disappearing figures of his 2 daughters. Please be safe and come home soon. Summer said as she kissed Naruto passionately before handing him a packed lunch. I will, and I'll make sure to keep talking to you through the bond and the tailed beast plane. See you soon, my love. Naruto said before disappearing in a swirl of leaves. I hope you return back soon too, dear. Summer said while holding her hands over her heart. With that, Yang and Ruby Uzumaki had started their journey to becoming huntsmen like their parents. Over their 4 years at Signal Academy, Naruto would often visit his family, trying his best to visit at least once a month just like he had promised. He always made time to come back home for any special occasions. Naruto would be kept busy getting information and distributing it, putting a stop to certain White Fang operations and also trying to uncover the truth behind the Grimm and their aggression towards man. All this while spreading the message of peace and the teachings of Nishu per the request of the Six-Paths Sage. During those 4 years, Yang and Ruby would finally decide on their preferred style of combat. Yang had decided to specialize in hand-to-hand combat, and her weapon, Ember Celica, were a pair of gauntlets that fired shotgun shells and could conduct chakra. They also tied in with the nintaijutsu that her father had taught her. Ruby, on the other hand, was so impressed by Crow's scythe that she ended up deciding to use a similar weapon that she named Crescent Rose, using a bastardized version of the Bukijutsu and Kenjutsu that she had been taught to wield the weapon. Summer had been taking on missions more actively since she had less to do, often going on missions that sent her to more remote locations solo so she could cut loose and let Gyuki stretch his tails. After about 2 years of that, Summer decided to take up a teaching job at Beacon Academy, where Ashbin had become the headmaster of some time back. Now, it was time for a new chapter in the lives of Yang and Ruby Uzumaki, as they would be entering Beacon Academy soon, and they would finally achieve their dream of becoming excellent huntsmen just like their parents. Naruto sighed for the possibly the 6th time that day as he sat down in the floor of the forest, leaning his back against the tree. For the past 4 years he had been trying to find out more about the Grimm and figure out the reason behind their aggression towards humanity. The main problem was that the Grimm dissolve after being slain, and as such there was nothing he could really do about it. His Rinnegan did allow him to see faint traces of Grimm energy, but that was a weak lead, and all he really found was that the Grimm have a hive mentality that causes them to go after humans. He also learned that the stronger Grimm can resist this to a degree, but the programming resurfaces when they encounter humans. This helped to explain the behavior of the larger Grimm like the Goliaths. He recalled his discussion with the Bijou on how to gather more information on the Grimm. This search is getting nowhere. Even with the Rinnegan, the trail is so weak that I can't really find anything before it gets cold, Naruto said as he was in the tailed beast plane surrounded by all the Bijou. Well, you could try using the chakra receivers to either bolster the signal, or link your energy with the Grimm in order to make it easier for you to learn about them, Kurama suggested. That is true, but he does not know where to place the receivers for an effective connection. Saiken added, well, in this case I think it would be a matter of trial and error. Although with how fast the Grimm dissipate it might take a long while before you figure out the correct pattern, and it may or may not vary between the different species of Grimm. Coco said, better to have a shot at tracing and solving this mystery than not having one at all. I'll go find a pack of Ursa or something to try it out on, Naruto said as he disappeared from the tailed beast plane back to the real world. Over the time, Naruto started getting better at placing black receivers within the Grimm that he killed. He had come up with a rough guide on where to place the rods in both Ursa and Beowulfs that would vary with their size and type, and although he had been able to understand the Grimm better, all he had were clues that linked the Grimm to the shattered moon, humanity's creation and its destruction. He couldn't establish a stronger link to glean more information than that, but at the very least he knew the Grimm were following a set of preordained orders in order to achieve their goal. What their goal is unfortunately remains largely unknown. Oh well, no point trying again for the day. Besides, I think it's time if I finally manage to convince a certain cat faunus to change her ways, Naruto said to himself before he flashed away to the forest of Forever Fall. He had been working hard over the years not only trying to solve the mystery of the Grimm, but also convince the White Fang to renounce their ways of violence and return back to their old ways of trying to gain equality through peaceful methods of persuasion. Some White Fang members were quick to realize the truth in his words and left the organization, but most were persistent in the false belief that their violent methods were actually working. He sighed to himself as the organization he once respected was now turning into an organization he was starting to dislike. But Naruto Uzumaki was not one to harbor hatred or malice towards anyone. They merely needed to have their eyes opened. Naruto had been trying to convince one of their best field operatives, a young female cat faunus by the name of Blake Belladonna, that what they were doing were wrong. He wanted to help her because he could see the doubts she had about the new White Fang's methods. He could also see the guilt in her eyes as the White Fang's escalating violence started to involve innocent civilians, some who were actually kind to the faunus. Naruto had gotten word that she and her partner Blake were due to steal a train that was transporting dust through the forest of Forever Fall through his alias Menma, which was a member of the White Fang and a part of its higher echelon. He hoped to a viewpoint that would allow him to view the passing train and intervene when he felt like it. He already had a basic plan made out. He would use his Toby alias to derail the plan, all while talking about the White Fang and its methods, and then he would come in and offer Blake a place at Beacon Academy. Of course, he had already discussed all of this with Ashbin. Blake was seated on a rock in the forest of Forever Fall, watching the red leaves of the trees unique to this forest drop the ground as she waited for her partner to inform her that they were starting the operation. Blake. It's time, Adam said as he approached his partner. Okay. Blake responded as she turned to face her partner and got off the rock. The two of them ran at high speed through the forest of Forever Fall, unaware of a pair of blue eyes and a single red eye watching them as they made their way toward the cliff that overlooked the train tracks. They waited with bated breath for the train to pass below them. They took up ready stances as soon as they heard the sound of the train horns and engines approaching this section of the forest, sliding down the cliff face as soon as the train started to pass below them. They both jumped off, Adam using his sword to get a foothold on the top of the train, while Blake simply landed cleanly next to him. They walked towards the front of the train, jumping across the gaps between the cars in order to reach the train car that contained the cargo they were looking for. Once they arrived at their destination, Adam blasted off the lock to the door, holding it open for Blake to jump inside before he followed after her. Looks like we are going to be doing this the hard way, Adam said as they landed inside the train car and saw the security system being triggered. All around them robots activated, their red lights glowing brightly in the dimly lit train car. The robots' combat visors slid down into position, their guns activating as they surrounded the pair. The robots had their guns trained on the two faunas as one of them requested for identification. Don't be so dramatic, Blake said as her hand wrapped around the handle of Gamble's shroud. Adam went first, pulling the trigger on his weapon, shooting the sword out and into the head of one of the robots before grabbing it in mid-air and slicing the robot's head off, delivering one more swift cut across its midsection before resheathing his sword. The robots changed tactics and their arms switched from a pair of guns into a pair of blades. They charged towards the pair of faunas, looking to use their superior numbers to their advantage to take the intruders down. Blake leapt backwards, creating a clone using her semblance to distract the robots, using the sheathed Gamble shroud to decapitate two of the robots in one smooth motion. Adam leapt over her and took out another one before firing shots at the other robots while Blake swept upwards to handle a few more of the robot guards. One of the robots fired rapidly at the pair of faunas, Adam blocking a few of the bullets with swings of his blades before Blake charged towards the robot, parrying the shots before taking it out for good. Blake unsheathed Gamble's shroud and wielding both the weapon and its sheath, she proceeded to tear into the robot guards, using her semblance to throw them off as she thinned their numbers down. They eventually made it out of the train car, destroying the guard bots as they went. Eventually there seemed to be none left, and the pair made their way to their destination. Adam opened the crate finding the things they were looking for. I'll set the charges, Adam said. But Adam, what about the crew members? Blake said. What about them? Adam retorted. Well, what a coincidence. I didn't think I would bump into the two of you here, Adam Taurus, Blake Belladonna. A disembodied voice said before a swirl appeared in the room followed by a man in an orange mask. Only his right could be seen and it was black with 3 tomo arranged in a circular fashion. He was wearing a black cloak with red lightning on it. Toby. What are you doing here? Adam growled out as he gripped the handle of his sword tightly. Toby, as he had introduced himself to the masses, had disrupted many of the White Fang's operations and to date he had been nicknamed the Untouchable Toby since his semblance allowed him to phase through objects. Why, I am just here to talk. Toby is a good boy. No need to be so serious. We all mean well, Toby said in a childlike voice. Then talk already. Adam said, his patience running thin. Tell me, why do you choose to do this? Violence is not the answer. You should follow Toby's example and be a hero. That's why Toby is a good boy, Toby said, continuing to annoy Adam to no end. Stop talking nonsense and get to the point already. Adam said as he charged Toby and tried to bisect the masked man only to have his attack phase through and be sent into a wall by a punch to the gut. Please simmer down, there is no reason to get violent. Now tell me, why is it you are doing this? Why turn violent? The once peaceful White Fang was all about bridging the gap between faunus and humans through understanding and peaceful methods, and now you people are all about violence, Toby said. Why we do this? How about blaming all those arrogant humans who look down upon us and treat us like trash? Adam blurted out. Blake was just listening to the two exchange words. So it gives you the right to hurt those who are innocent? It gives you the right to incite fear in others? To reflect pain upon the humans, some of whom have never ever wronged you at all? Toby said. What would you understand? This is the only way that those humans will finally come to treat faunus equally. It's working, Adam said. Yes, because people are becoming afraid. They become hurt and afraid. They want to retaliate against you, but they lack the power to do so because for now you are the stronger one. But what happens when the humans have more power than you? They will retaliate and return all the pain they felt back to you, Toby said. Adam was about to retort, but Toby continued speaking. When people are hurt, they learn to hate. They seek retribution. When you hurt others, you become hated and suffer from guilt. But knowing that pain is exactly why you should be kind to others. If people kept trying to hurt each other, then they would only carry on this cycle of hatred. It is only when you know true pain and from it that one can achieve true peace, Toby stated. What makes you think you can understand the things we faunus go through? The kind of things we have to endure? Adam shouted. It was at that moment that a large spider robot appeared in the cargo hold. You are interrupting something, but let us take this outside, Toby said as he led the robot outside with Blake and Adam following him. They watched as he phased into the ground before appearing behind the robot and causing it to disappear in a black swirl. Now that is taken care of, You were asking me how I could possibly understand how you faunas feel? The answer is that I don't. Everyone feels pain differently, but the one person above all who should have the right to take vengeance upon the world would be Naruto Uzumaki. If anyone understands pain, it would be him. It was through his pain as he grew up that he achieved his higher power. It was through his pain that he understood the true meaning of peace, and that is why he preaches is now the peace achieved using the power of harmony and unity through understanding. Toby said, he has the power to destroy and reshape the world, and yet he chooses to coexist with you people. He could bring peace by making everyone bend knee to his power, and yet he chooses to help you people and work towards achieving peace with you. So tell me, what will you do now? Will you continue to hurt others and continue this cycle of hatred, or would you instead change your lives and use it to help others instead, ending the cycle of hatred and ushering in true peace built on love? Toby said before he disappeared. Toby's words seemed to connect with Blake as it served to strengthen the doubt she had in the current white Fang. She was standing on another train car separate from Adam. She held onto the handle of Gamble's shroud, stealing her reserves before she proceeded to cut off the connection between the trains, leaving Adam behind. She mouthed a simple goodbye as Adam questioned her choice as their figure became smaller and smaller before disappearing in the distance. Well. Fancy running into you here, Ms. Belladonna, Naruto said as he appeared on the same train car as her. You're Naruto Uzumaki. What are you doing here? Blake asked a little tense. After all, it isn't every day you run into the strongest huntsman, and if someone like the untouchable Toby was wary of Naruto, then she should be even more so. I'm just passing through. So you've decided to abandon the white Fang, huh? Naruto said. How did you know that? Blake asked. I was watching. Toby intervened in this before I could, so I just kept watching. Naruto said simply. So what do you want? Blake asked. The question is, what do you want? More specifically, what do you want to do with your life now, Ms. Belladonna? Naruto responded. I want to help people. I want to do good with my life and believe in the peace that you believe in. Blake said resolutely. Very well then. Take this and follow the instructions. I have already cleared everything for you. Naruto said. This will allow me to go to Beacon Academy. Blake said in shock. Yes, it will. Do good with your life, Blake. It must be hard to have grown up being ostracized. I know what it feels like to be looked at with contempt, and not being able to make any friends, but you should embrace who you are and do things that force people to acknowledge you no matter what prejudice they hold. Naruto said. Wait, Toby said something about you understanding the pain of the faunas. What did he mean by that? Blake asked. That is a story for another time. If you ever need someone to talk to, you can always just throw this on the ground, and if I'm not busy, I'll be there in a flash. You'll be in good hands, Blake. Do good with your life. Use your understanding of pain to help others. I'll see you around, Naruto said, handing her a tri-pronged kunai before he teleported away. Scene change. Some time after interaction between Blake and Naruto, Ruby Uzumaki was sweating nervously as she was being scolded by the woman in a white top with a black and purple cape, her riding crop occasionally hitting the table to emphasize her points. Ruby had been minding her own business, and wondered exactly how she got into this mess. She was just out in the town of Vale to get some bullets from a dust shop because she had used up all her rounds in a grim extermination trip with her mother. It was supposed to be a simple task. Come to Vale, buy the necessary supplies, meet up with her sister Yan, and then get back home to prepare to go to Beacon Academy. Things had gone as planned at first. She went into Vale after telling her mother, who was still at her job at Beacon Academy, that she would be out buying supplies. She visited the only dust shop that was open at the time, a quaint little store called the Dusk to Dawn, and ended up getting sidetracked listening to a music album. Her time was interrupted when a gang of crooks led by the infamous Roman Torchwick picked that specific time and dust store to rob. Of course, she got caught up in the middle of it all, trying to stop them, having had the lesson of always trying to do the right thing pounded into her by her father. She ended up chasing Roman all the way till he boarded his escape craft. She was about to use some of her chakra techniques to take the craft down, but a huntress appeared and ended up scaring Roman and his accomplice, a woman wearing a red dress that could manipulate dust very well. Off. Said huntress proceeded to drag Ruby to a room for questioning, claiming that she shouldn't have done what she did and that she put a lot of people in danger with her actions. If it were up to me, young lady, you would be sent home. With a pat on the back and a slap to the wrist. But some people would like to see you first, Glinda said. The door opened and in walked a middle-aged man with silver hair wearing a suit and a green scarf. He had a cane and was drinking from a coffee mug. Behind the man was her mother with a plate of cookies. Ruby proceeded to stuff her face with said cookies, completely ignoring the situation. Ruby Uzumaki, you look very similar to your mother. Yet you act just like your father. Tell me, what is a cute little girl like you doing with one of the most dangerous weapons in the world? And who did you learn to use it from? The only one I've seen that uses a scythe like that is a dusty old crow, and even then your style is distinctly different to his. Ajpin stated. Well, I decided to use the scythe after being told about by my godfather Crow. Then after that I just used some of the styles my parents taught me and created a combined style to allow me to use the scythe effectively in combat. I want to become a huntsman just like my parents and help people. Ruby said. You really do act like your father. I look forward to seeing you at Beacon Academy, Ruby. I am sure you will do great there. You may go now. Nothing will happen to you, Ashbin said. Thank you, sir. Ruby said as she got up and prepared to head home. I'll see you back at the house, dear. And if it means anything, I told your dad what happened and he's proud of you, Summer said, causing Ruby to brighten up before she left in a burst of speed. Scene change, aboard the airship heading towards Beacon Academy. Oh my gosh, Ruby, I heard what happened to you. I'm so proud of my little sister, Yang said as she enveloped Ruby in a bone-crushing hug, causing the smaller girl to frantically tap her arms to let her go. It was nothing, Yang. I just did what Dad thought us to do, Ruby said. Speaking of Dad, I wonder what he is up to right now. He said he would try his best to make it back home in time to see us go through initiation and get assigned to teams, Yang said as they thought about their father. Despite having to juggle running a spy network, hunting Grim and dealing with the White Fang, Naruto always made time to visit them and spend time with them. He's probably off exterminating Grim or speaking to one of his contacts again, Ruby said. They watched the news report for a moment before it switched to a holographic image of Glinda. Welcome. You are all among the select few who have demonstrated the aptitude worthy of becoming students at Beacon Academy. Our world is currently experiencing a time of peace. As future huntsmen and huntresses, it will be your job to protect it, Glinda said before her image disappeared. Look at the view, you can see signal from up here, Ruby said as she looked out the window. The view from Vale has got nothing on this. And just think, Ruby, Beacon is going to be our home for the next 4 years and then we become huntresses just like Mom and we get to do cool stuff just like Dad, Yang said. Yeah. But I guess this view isn't for everyone, Ruby said as she gestured towards a blonde boy who was vomiting. Oh well, sucks to be him, I guess, Yang said as the boy ran past them to find a good place to hurl. He got some on your shoes, Ruby said. What? Get it off. Get it off, Yang shouted as she tried to wipe it off on her sister. Stay away from me, Ruby said as she tried to run away. Scene change. Beacon Academy front gates. Whoa, this place is so awesome, Ruby said as she took in the sights. Yeah, it is. I can't believe we are going to the same place where Dad and Mom used to go to, Yang said. Oh my gosh, Yang, look, that kid has a collapsible staff and that girl has a fire sword, Ruby said. She had stars in her eyes and was about to go off in a trance only for Yang to pull her back. Easy there, little sister, I know you like weapons, but why are you gushing so much about them? What's wrong with yours? Yang said. Nothing. Crescent Rose will always be my baby. It's just that I like seeing new weapons just like you like to see new kinds of hand-to-hand combat, Ruby said. Touché, little sister. Anyway, I'm going to go explore the place a little bit. I'll see you at the briefing later, Yang said. See you later, Yang, Ruby said. She was not paying attention while she was walking though and ended up tripping against the girl's luggage. Said girl had white hair and a very pale complexion and wore a white dress with a white jacket over that with red lining. She had some sort of rapier attached to her waist. Watch where you are going, you klutz, Weiss said. Wow. Sorry about that, it was accident. I was not paying attention to where I was going, Ruby said. Do you have any idea what was inside here? These cases contain dust mined from the Schnee quarry, Weiss said as she held a red vial swinging it about. Yeah, I know what dust is, Ruby said. Your face says otherwise, Weiss said, noting how Ruby was in some sort of daze. She continued to shake the vial, causing some of the dust to fall out and disperse in the air. This aggravated Ruby's nose, causing her to sneeze and trigger the dust, covering Weiss in soot. I'm sorry about that. It was an accident, Ruby said as she waved her hands in the air to try and placate Weiss. You idiot, Weiss growled. I'm sorry, what's your name again? I don't think you said it, Ruby said. Weiss Schnee, heiress of the Schnee Dust Company, one of the largest producers of the energy source in Remnant, Blake said as she handed the vial which had been dropped in the explosion back to Weiss. Finally some recognition, Weiss sneered. Also known for their questionable work practices. Given that you are the heiress, I would think that you would know better than to shake that vial around and send dust into the air, Blake said. Humph. I don't need to take this, Weiss said as she stormed off. Thanks for that. I don't know what is her problem. I'm Ruby Uzumaki, Ruby said. Uzumaki? I'm Blake. Blake Belladonna. Your dad helped me get into this academy, actually. It's nice to meet you, although I can't really see the resemblance between the two of you, Blake said. Oh, you met Dad? I'm not surprised that he helped you out. Dad always says it is always important to give a helping hand when we can give it, and about the looks thing, I look more like my mom while my sister Yang looks more like my dad, Ruby said. Yeah, that does sound like him. Come on, I think we should be heading to the ballroom for the briefing. It starts in 5, Blake said as she walked with Ruby towards their destination. Once there, Yang called out to them. Hey Ruby! Over here! I saved you a spot, Yang said as she gestured for Ruby to come over. Blake followed behind her. So how was your tour, little sister? Yang asked. It was okay, I guess. Although the part where I bumped into this crabby girl's luggage and exploded a hole because of dust was not okay at all. Oh, by the way, Yang, this is Blake. Blake, this is Yang. Blake says Dad helped her get into Beacon, Ruby said as she introduced the two. It's a pleasure to meet you. When did you meet Dad anyway? Yang asked out of curiosity. Oh, some time back while he was out and about. What does he do exactly? He doesn't seem to be around much. Blake said. He's always traveling Remnant doing things, so he isn't around all the time, but he makes sure to always come and visit and support us through anything important. But he always gives us messages through our mom. Yang said. They all stopped talking when Ashbin took the stage. I'll keep this brief. You have all come here to become huntsmen, seeking to make this world a better place. But all I see here is wasted talent. You all believe that the knowledge you gain as you pass through these halls will help you put that talent to good use, but I highly doubt that is the case. It will be up to you to take the first step in this journey. What you get out of this school is what you want to get out of it. Not how much we put in. That is all, Ashbin said before passing the mic off to Glinda. Well, he seemed a little off. Yang said. Yeah, he was a little wonky, but Dad and Mom always described Ashbin and being eccentric. Ruby said. Agreed. That does seem to be the case. Blake said. Alright everyone, you have the rest of the day to get used to the campus. Gather back in the ballroom after dinner tonight. This room will be your sleeping quarters and is big enough to house everyone. You will be given proper rooms after initiation tomorrow together with your teams. Dismissed, Glinda said as the students went off doing their own thing. Time skip. Night time. Yam was laying down on her side in a sleeping bag which was placed between Ruby's and Blake's. Blake was busy reading a book while Ruby was just lying down and staring at the ceiling. This is so awesome. It's just like a sleepover, Yang said as she eyed some of the boys who were without tops, enjoying the view until it was ruined by one John Ark who strolled through wearing a onesie. I don't think Mom and Dad would approve of all the boys though. Especially Dad. You know how overprotective he is, Ruby said. Oh, you know he just loves us. Speaking of Dad, did Mom say when he would be coming back for a visit? I kind of forgot, Yang said with a sheepish grin. Really, Yang? Mom said Dad would try to make it back to see us go through initiation and be assigned teams. Ruby said. Right. Anyway, were you able to make any friends today, little sister? Yang asked. Well, there is Blake, but then if you count Weiss as a negative friend, then I guess I still got 0. Ruby said. Ruby, there is no such thing as a negative friend. You just made one friend and one enemy. But cheer up. I am sure you will make more friends. You just haven't met them yet, Yang said. We should be getting some sleep, we need it if we are going to be ready for initiation tomorrow, Blake said as she blew out her reading candle. Good night, Blake, Yang. Ruby said. Good night, Blake, Ruby. Yang said. Good night, Ruby, Yang. Blake said. At the same time, in a warehouse in the city of Vale, Roman Torchwick was finishing up the delivery of the stolen goods to the location that his employer had stipulated. After checking the goods, he was handed a sum of lien which he was quick to pocket before blowing a puff of his cigar. He turned his attention to a map that was pasted on the wall and was littered with scribbles. No one in the location aware that a lone redhead behind an orange mask was watching them from a distance. There was a definite aura of excitement in the lockers as the new recruits of Beacon Academy were getting themselves ready for the initiation ceremony today. Blake, Yang, and Ruby were getting prepped near each other as their lockers were close by. All around them, people were drawing out their weapons and checking to make sure that they worked fine. Are you all excited for the initiation ceremony? Yang said as she did a couple of ghost punches. I just want to get this over with so that I can go back to doing my own things. Blake said. I am so looking forward to today cause I finally get to stop needing to make friends and can instead let this do the talking for me. Ruby said as she held onto her weapon tightly. You know, Ruby, today they are forming teams and it will be quite important to get to know people so that you get put into a good team that can work effectively together. Blake said. Why can't I be in any of your teams? Or why can't we be together? Ruby said. I think it might be best if you formed your own team without us so that you can grow up, little sister. Yang said. Wait, so none of you want me in your team? Ruby said, disheartened. Relax, Ruby. Whatever happens, happens. We just think that it might be good to know more people so that you have your bases covered. Blake said. At the same time that was going on, Weiss was busy having a conversation with Priya Nikos, one of the most notable candidates currently at Beacon, having won the Mistral tournament several times. Weiss had asked Priya's thoughts on teams and had asked if she wanted to form a team with her. All for the sake of creating a strong pair that would become very popular. They were interrupted by John, who tried to flirt with Weiss and ignored Priya completely. Weiss brushed him off as he was pinned to a locker by Priya's spear. The two girls walked off with Priya giving him one last kind greeting. Hey there. What's up, vomit boy? Yang said. Hey, my name is John. John said as he slumped to the ground. Hey there, John, my name is Ruby. I think you are pretty funny. What's wrong? Ruby said as she attempted to make friends. Hey there, Ruby. It's just that I don't get it. I was told that the ladies dig confidence, so what went wrong? John said dejectedly. Yang snorted at this. I think calling her Snow Angel was the mistake. Anyway, good luck for your initiation later, John. Yang said as she walked out. Bye, John. See you later. Ruby said as she went to chase after her sister. Cliff near Emerald Forest. Your initiation will be taking place at the Emerald Forest. Your task is to retrieve an item from the ruins at the end of the path. You will be relying on your own landing strategy to help you get there. I would advise you to be very cautious on your journey there and do not hesitate to use your weapons when you encounter opposition, or you will die, Ashbin said as he addressed all the candidates at the edge of the cliff. The hopefuls were standing on gray plates. As you all know, here at Beacon you are assigned to teams. And as per usual, all of you shall today. The first person you see upon landing will be the one who you end up being partnered with. Glinda explained. At hearing this, Ruby got scared. Some of the other hopefuls were now making plans to try and get any of the best hopefuls to be paired up with them. Any questions? Ashbin asked. Yeah, earlier you talked about landing strategy. Are you like dropping us off or something? John asked. No, you will be falling. Ashbin said with a devious smirk. Wait, did you give out parachutes or something? John asked as he saw the first few students being launched away. No, you will be using your own landing strategy to get to the ground, Ashbin said. Jan put on a pair of shades before she too was launched off with Ruby following after. What? John screamed as he was launched into the air with the other students. Everyone was all still in the air and had begun using their own skills to land themselves safely on the ground. Ruby crashed and killed a poor crow before unfolding crescent rows and hooking herself on a tree branch to stop herself by swinging around it a few times. This was after she had fired a few shots in order to use the recoil to slow herself down. Weiss used her semblance to create glyphs that allowed her to land safely and gracefully. Ren flipped around and used his weapons to hook onto a tree and swing around to land. Yan on the other hand was having her fun, using the recoil from her gauntlets to go faster through the air before leaping off a few trees and tucking into a roll to land. Priya used her shield to crash through a few trees and landed safely on a tree branch. She noticed John still sailing through the air and so decided to help him out by pinning him to a tree with his spear. Gotta find Yang, gotta find Yang. Ruby repeated to herself as she used her semblance of speed to zoom through the forest. Her Sharingan was active to help her pinpoint her sister and navigate through the forest. Oh, this is bad, this is really bad. What if I can't find her? What if someone else finds her first? There is John, he seemed like a good guy. He's nice and funny, although I don't think he is very good in a fight. Blake's cool too. But I don't know if I can really hold a conversation with her. Okay, so who else do I know in this school? There is Yang, John, Blake, and Ruby thought as she continued speeding through the forest. She skidded to a stop when she saw Weiss in front of her. Weiss' eyes widened before she turned and walked away. Wait, where are you going? Ruby shouted. We are supposed to be teammates, Ruby muttered while kicking the ground. Weiss walked through the forest and gingerly stepped past some bushes and stumbled upon John, who was still being pinned to a tree by Priya's spear. He offered her a nervous wave only to have her stalk back to where Ruby was and drag her by her red hood. By no means does this make us friends, Weiss said grumpily. You came back. Ruby gushed. Hey, wait, come back. Who's going to get me down from here? John said. John? Do you have any spots left on your team? Priya asked as she saw John pinned to a tree. Very funny. John responded. What's the hurry? Ruby asked. I will not let my mission be delayed because you are too slow. I swear if I get a bad grade because of Weiss grumbled only for Ruby to appear right next to her. I'm not slow, see? You don't have to worry about me. Ruby said. Wait, what's up with your eyes? Weiss asked. Oh, this is the Sharingan that I inherited from my dad and my mom. Ruby said. Wait, who is your dad, by the way? Weiss asked out of curiosity since she did not know that a semblance existed where the user's eye would change color. Oh, my dad is Naruto Uzumaki. Ruby said nonchalantly, already expecting Weiss' response. Her dad was famous after all. Wait, you are the daughter of the Naruto Uzumaki? How are you such a klutz? And how come you have red eyes? Naruto has blue eyes. Weiss said. Actually, Dad's eyes are metallic purple with concentric circles and a ripple pattern with 6 tomo in each eye. Mine are the weaker version of what Dad and Mom has. Mom has the more advanced version of these eyes while Dad has the fully matured version of these eyes. And in my defense I was confused and you were throwing dust into the air, aggravating my nose. Ruby explained. So what exactly does that semblance let you do? Weiss asked as they continued walking through the forest. Well, in this form it allows me to predict my opponent's movements by making micro-details and movements clearer. Mom's version gives her access to some other abilities that are unique to the individual as well as the big warrior construct that Dad used to beat back the Grim during the attack 23 years ago. Ruby said. Right, well then, I guess we should probably try to start anew since we are going to be stuck together for the next 4 years. I am Weiss Schnee. Weiss said. And I am Ruby Uzumaki. Come on. The ruins are this way. Ruby said as she indicated the direction where all the signatures in the forest were heading towards. Jan was fighting with a pair of Ursa that she had run into while trying to look for her sister. Her Sharingan was active, allowing her to predict and react to the Ursa's attacks. She was doing well against the two of them until one of the Ursa accidentally cut off a strand of her hair, causing her to snap. You monsters! Yang screamed as she charged at the Ursa. Try this on for size. Morning, Peacock! Yang shouted as she delivered a flurry of punch shots at the Ursa, the move having been developed by her and Naruto together during training. Naruto had found a set of moves that were suited to her combat style and semblance, and so they worked together to help her learn it, with Naruto being a very willing practice dummy. You want some too? Yan yelled at the last Ursa only for it to drop down dead as a weapon impaled it in the back. She saw a familiar black-haired girl behind it. "Hey there, Blake." Yang greeted. "Nice to see you too, Yang." "I guess this makes us partners, huh?" Blake said. "Yeah, I guess it does," Yang said as they journeyed through the forest together. Priya and John were walking through the forest with Priya at the front when they stopped and turned their attention to the directions where sounds could be heard from. "Did you hear that?" John asked. "Gunfire. It seems that some of our comrades have encountered the enemy," Priya responded. They continued walking through the forest as Priya used her shield to push aside a branch only to have it snap back into place and hit John in the face in the process of doing so. "John, sorry," Priya said. "Hey, it's okay. Just a scratch," John said as he got up. "Why didn't you activate your aura?" Priya asked. "What?" John responded. "John, do you know what aura is?" Priya questioned. "Of course I do." "Do you know what aura is?" John retorted, trying to hide his lack of knowledge on the subject. "Aura is the manifestation of our soul. It bears our burdens and shields our hearts." "Have you ever felt like you were being watched without knowing that someone was there?" Priya said. Yeah," John replied. "With practice, our aura can be our shield. Everyone has it, even animals." Priya continued. "What about monsters?" John questioned. "No, the monsters we fight lack a soul. They are creatures of Grim, the manifestation of animosity. They are the darkness, and we are the light," Priya said. "Right, that's why we fight them," John responded. "It's not about why. It's about knowing. Understanding both dark and light helps us manifest our aura. Everyone has some of both. By bearing your soul outward as a force, you can deflect harm. All of our tools and equipments are conduits for aura. You project yourself and your soul with fighting," Priya explained. "It's like a force field." John exclaimed. "Yes, if you want to look at it that way. Now close your eyes and concentrate," Priya said as she placed a hand on John's cheek. Okay," John said as he closed his eyes. Priya glowed red while John glowed white for a moment before they returned to normal. Priya looked exhausted. "Priya? You okay there?" John asked. "It's alright. I used my aura to unlock yours. The energy that protects you now is your own. And you have a lot of it," Priya said as the cut on John's cheek healed itself. "Wow. This is really cool," John said. Elsewhere, Ren had just finished defeating a pair of snakes and was panting a little from exhaustion. He returned his weapons to his sleeves and dusted himself off. He turned around when he heard a weird sound coming from behind him and saw Nora hanging upside down on a tree. I still don't think that's what a sloth sounds like," Ren commented. "Boop," Nora said as he touched Ren's nose. "It seems like the last pair has been formed. Nora Valkyrie and Lyran. Poor boy. I can't possibly imagine those two getting along. Still, he is probably better off than Miss Nikos. I don't care what his transcripts say that John Fellow is not ready for this level of combat. I guess we will find out soon enough. At their current pace, they should be reaching the temple within just a few minutes," Glinda commented as she watched the proceedings from her scroll. Blake and Yang had been trekking through the forest for some time when they came upon a set of ruins in a clearing. "Think this is it?" Yang asked. Blake said nothing and walked towards the ruins with Yang following behind her. "Chess pieces?" Blake said as she noticed the relics that they were supposed to retrieve. "Some of them are missing." "Looks like we aren't the first ones here," Yang said. "It sure seems like it. Anyway, I guess we should pick one," Blake said. At the same time, Forest of Foreverfall. Naruto was in the center of a clearing in Foreverfall after he had exterminated some Grimm that were in the forest. He cursed his luck because now he was late to his two daughters' initiation to Beacon Academy. He had intended to just quickly wipe out 1 or 2 packs of Ursa to try and learn a little bit more about the Grimm before he returned to visit his family and give his report. But thanks to his luck outside of games and bets, he encountered far more Grimm than he had originally expected, and now he was already late. Thankfully, Summer was telling him what was going on through their shared bond. "Oh well, might as well try and get something out of this before I go see them in time for team assignments," Naruto said as he created chakra receivers and proceeded to stab them into one of the Ursa that had yet to disintegrate. As soon as he inserted the last one, he finally felt a strong link being established to the Grimm. He focused on the connection, and immediately his mind was assaulted by various images. The shattered moon becoming a gateway, a large multi-headed dragon Grimm appearing in sky to destroy humanity. While those were certainly disconcerting images, the one that unnerved Naruto the most though was a shadowed figure turning the dragon Grimm into a pill and consuming it. The only thing Naruto could make out on the figure was its purple eyes with concentric rings. "Did you guys see that?" Naruto said as he popped into the tailed beast plane to discuss his findings with the Bija. "It seems that the moon is some sort of gateway and this dragon Grimm is some sort of mother Grimm or progenitor or something like that," Kurama said. "Yes, but what was more confounding was the Rinnegan wielder at the end. Does that mean that this world has some sort of link to the shinobi world? Or more than we originally suspected?" Koko said. "I don't think that this world has a connection with the shinobi world. It has a connection with the Otsutsuki," Naruto said, throwing his thoughts out for debate. "That is not entirely impossible. The Otsutsuki are after all alien in origin and they might have made contact with this world. What do you think we should do about this? Kurama said. I don't know. This needs more investigation. Anyway, I need to get to Beacon Academy. Don't want to miss Ruby and Yang getting assigned to teams. I want to at least get there before they finish initiation. I think I'll fly there. It'll give me time to think before I go talk to Ashman and the others, Naruto said as he left the tailed beast plane. Once back in the real world, he activated his Rinnegan and spawned his Susanoo, using to fly to Beacon Academy, his mind running at a mile a minute as he meditated on what he learned. Back at the Emerald Forest, Priya and John on the other hand had arrived at a cave entrance around the same time as Blake and Yang had reached the ruins. Think this is it? John asked. I'm not sure this is it. Priya said as they walked through the cave with John holding a torch. Huh. Priya, I made the torch. Could you at least humor me for maybe 5 more feet? John said. He slipped and fell, dropping the torch in the process. The torch went out, leaving the both of them in the darkness of the cave. Do you feel that? Priya asked. Soul-crushing regret? John said. No, it's warm. Priya said as the two of them journeyed deeper into the cave, and came upon what seemed to be a glowing rock. This must be the relic. John shouted. He reached out to and grabbed it only to have it move out of the way each and every time. John, Priya said as multiple sets of glowing eyes stared at them. Back with Yang and Blake. How about a cute little pony? Yang said as she held up the golden knight piece. Sure, why not? Blake said. They heard a loud girlish scream in the distance, and turned in the direction of the sound. Some girl is in trouble. Blake, did you hear that? Yang asked. Priya was running out of the cave with the Death Stalker on her tail. John was screaming all the way as he hung on to the stinger of the creature for his life. John, whatever you do, don't let go. Priya said, but before she could even finish her sentence, the Death Stalker swung its stinger and sent John flying through the air. Priya decided that running away was probably a good plan and sped off towards the direction where John was flung with the Death Stalker chasing after her. Ruby and Weiss on the other hand were hanging on to dear life as they were flying through the sky on the Nevermore. They had somehow managed to jump on the Nevermore's back while trying to make their way to the ruins. Apparently Ruby at that point decided that it was a good idea to jump and decided to do so, leaving a stuttering Weiss behind as she tried to comprehend her partner's actions. Blake, did you hear that? What should we do? Yang asked as she tried to get the other girl's attention only for her to repeatedly point towards the sky. They looked up to see Ruby falling towards the ground and then a flying John crashing into her, causing both of them to land in the trees. Oh, what was that? Ruby said as her head was still spinning from the fall. Hey Ruby. John said as he hung upside down from the trees. Did your sister just fall from the sky? Blake asked as they looked at the area where Ruby and John had landed. Ayang was about to say something but was interrupted by an Ursa appearing with Nora riding on it and Ren panting while trying to catch up to her. Ah, it's broken. Nora said as she looked at the downed Ursa. Nora, please don't ever do that again. Ren said only to find Nora gone. Nora had gone to the ruins and picked up the golden rook piece. I'm queen of the castle. I'm queen of the castle. Nora said happily as she balanced the rook piece on her head. Nora! Ren shouted. Coming, Ren. Nora said with a mock salute. Did that girl just ride in on an Ursa? Blake said. Ayang was about to say something but was again interrupted, this time by the appearance of Priya who was being chased by a Death Stalker. Ruby? Yang said as she saw her sister jump down from the trees and land next to her. Yang! Ruby shouted in happiness. The two were about to hug only for the moment to be interrupted. Nora! Nora shouted as she appeared between them. Did she just run all the way here with a Death Stalker on her tail? Blake said. Asking a rhetorical question for at least the 3rd time today. I can't take it anymore. Could anyone just chill out for 2 seconds before something crazy happens again? Yang shouted in exasperation as her Sharingan activated and her aura became visible. Yang? Ruby said as she pointed to the sky where Weiss was hanging onto the talon of the Nevermore. How could you leave me? Weiss shouted. I said jump. Ruby said. She's going to fall. Blake said. She'll be fine. Ruby said. She's falling. Ren stated. John at this time just recovered from his earlier landing and saw Weiss falling and saw it as an opportunity to play hero. He leapt out of the trees to grab Weiss, catching her perfectly in his arms only to realize that they were both at the mercy of gravity. The two of them landed on the ground, their weapons following them. John landed on the ground face first as Weiss landed on his back. My hero. Weiss said sarcastically as she checked her nails. My back. John said. All the while, Priya was still being chased by the Death Stalker. Great, the gang's all here. Now we can die together. Yang commented as Priya landed in front of them. Not if I can help it. Ruby said as she charged straight at the Death Stalker, unfolding her scythe along the way. Ruby, wait! Yang shouted. Ruby was easily swatted aside by the Death Stalker. Don't worry, totally fine. Ruby said as she got up. She tried to shoot the Death Stalker only to find that her bullets had no effect at all. Deciding that now was a good enough time to use the things her father taught her, she blurred through hand seals before creating a large dragon out of water that slammed into the Death Stalker, sending it flying into the trees. Ruby! Yang shouted as she charged forward to try and help her sister. The Nevermore flew towards them and shot of its feathers which were like bullets. Yang focused lightning chakra into her hand and shot off several lightning saban to destroy the incoming feathers, hugging her little sister as soon as she was near her. What do we do now? Weiss asked as the two sisters rejoined the group. I say we take the relics and make our way back to the cliff. Fighting the Grimm is not part of our task, Ruby said, completing the mission and living to fight another day. I can get behind that, John said as he and Ruby went to grab a relic. Just as the 8 of them were about to move, they say a large blue warrior with wings fly overhead and bisect the large Nevermore just as it was about to try and swoop down to attack them. Hey Ruby, isn't that Dad? Yang asked. Yeah, it is. But what is he doing here? Ruby wondered as the blue warrior stabbed the Death Stalker with its sword, causing it to burst into black flames. The blue warrior landed in front of them, and it dissipated, leaving Naruto on the ground in front of them. Hey there kids, I was passing through and saw that you had some trouble with the Grimm, so I decided to drop in, Naruto said. Dad! Ruby and Yang shouted before hugging him. Wait, those two are daughters of the Naruto Uzumaki? Rin said in surprise. Well, that explains why Ruby got into Beacon Academy when she is only 15. Pira said. Wait, who is this Naruto person? John said, oblivious to everything. Do you live under a rock or something? Naruto Uzumaki is the strongest huntsman currently on active duty. He might be the strongest huntsman, period. Weiss said. Now. No need for such praise. Let's get you kids back to the cliff so we can get this over with, shall we? I need to have a chat with Ashbin about some matters. Hold still now, Naruto said as he activated his Rinnegan and surrounded them in his Susanoo before teleporting them back to the school. Everyone had gathered back in the ballroom for team announcements. Naruto and Summer stood behind Ashbin and Glinda, catching up as Naruto told her of some of the things he had been up to, making sure to keep out the details of the Grimm out until they were in private. Russell Thrush, Carden Winchester, Dove Bronzewing, Skylark. The 4 of you retrieved the Black Bishop pieces. From this day forward you shall be working together, as Team Ciardel. Led by Carden Winchester. John Ark, Lyrin, Priha Nikos, Nora Valkyrie. The 4 of you retrieved the White Rook pieces. From this day forward, you will be working together as Team JNPR, led by John Ark. Congratulations, young man, Ashbin said. Ruby, Weiss, Yang and Blake walked onto the stage. Blake Belladonna, Ruby Uzumaki, Weiss Schnee and Yang Uzumaki. The 4 of you retrieved the White Knight pieces. From this day forth you shall be working together as Team RWBY, led by Ruby Uzumaki. Ashbin announced. Congratulations, little sister, Yang said as she gave Ruby a hug. Naruto and Summer walked up to congratulate their daughter. As the crowd started to thin out once most of the students had left for their newly assigned dorms, Naruto turned to Ashbin with a serious expression. We need to talk, Naruto said. Ashbin nodded and they walked back to his office. What troubles you? Ashbin said. I need you to contact the council, all of them. This is an important matter that involves everyone, Naruto said. Ashbin nodded as he proceeded to establish links with all of the councils. Apparently when Naruto Uzumaki was serious about a matter, everyone was quick to respond. As many of you may or may not know, I have spent the last 4 years traveling the world of Remnant looking for clues to try and stop the Grimm for good. My Rinnegan allowed me to follow the traces of Grimm energy, and I was able to ascertain that they shared a hive mentality at a very fundamental level. Their reaction to humanity is ingrained into their being. With that in mind, I tried to find ways to establish a connection with the hive mind, and all attempts in the 4 years had led to failure, Naruto said. That is until recently. I managed to establish a temporary connection with the Grimm hive mind. And what I discovered has great implications for humanity, Naruto said. What did you learn, Naruto? Ashbin said. The Grimm's aggression towards humanity is not random and is not based on instinct. They want to incite negative emotions in humans in order to gather that negative energy to open a portal. That portal is the Shattered Moon. When that portal opens, it will allow the Queen of the Grimm, which I saw as a large multi-headed dragon, to enter the world of Remnant, thus leading to the end of humanity, Naruto said, choosing to leave out the involvement of the Otsutsuki clan member. And what do you suggest we do? If word gets out, people are more likely to go into panic, and that would be helping the Grimm in completing their task. Ashbin said. We do nothing, Naruto said. That is preposterous. You are suggesting that we just roll over and let the Grimm do as they please? Ironwood said. No, I'm saying that you people will do nothing about this. I will continue to investigate this and try and find a way to stop the Mother Grimm for good or seal it away. My Rinnegan will allow me to traverse the dimensions and hopefully find it. For now this threat is still not confirmed. For all we know, I could have been seeing things or I triggered a safety mechanism. So we cannot create panic in the public by carrying out any large actions, Naruto said. At the very least, take some people with you, Ironwood said. With all due respect, me taking others with me would just be a danger to us all. I don't know what I might encounter as I go between dimensions, so I need to conserve all the aura for emergencies. Also, going alone will make infiltration and escape much easier, Naruto explained. Very well then. We will leave this matter to you and request that you report in whenever possible, one of the councilmen stated. I will try my best to adhere to that. Now on to the matter of the White Fang, Naruto said. What, if Naruto has amaterasu in Ruby, and thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.